Chapter 2572. Kid, you have to have evidence before you speak. An elder from the 10,000 Thunder, sacred ground, gritted his teeth. They didn't dare to admit it, nor did they want to take the blame. That was because they weren't the ones who sent the clone. They didn't dare to provoke the other party now. They didn't dare to start a fight with the other party. Therefore, they quickly explained. Do you have any clues about the purple gourd and the divine ability that person said he used? Lin Xian asked in a deep voice. Every sacred ground's secret techniques and treasures were different, so it should be easy to identify them. However, Xing Tian, elderly, and the others shook their heads. They couldn't tell. The other party obviously didn't use any of their martial arts. They had never seen his palm technique and the gourd before. It seemed that the other party had planned this for a long time and would definitely not expose his true identity. Humph. Lin Xian's eyes flickered. You better not let me find out who did it. Otherwise, I'll let him know what regret is. After saying this, he took a deep breath and waved his hand. All right, let's put this matter aside for now. Let's open the bronze box first. Hearing this, everyone took a deep breath. The most crucial moment had arrived. What treasure was inside the bronze box? Was it a sage's treasure? They didn't know, but they were extremely excited. Lin Xian handed the key to the Yi family's elder. The elder nodded and didn't refuse. Then the group of people retreated. They put on their armor and activated their king's domains to defend themselves. After all, no one knew what was inside. The Yi family's elder took a deep breath, and golden patterns appeared on his body. He was a peerless almighty and had the bloodline of the arch. At this moment, his defense was incomparably terrifying. On the side, an elder from the Gu family also floated in the air. His body emitted a terrifying void energy. If there was any danger, he would instantly transfer the bronze box into the void. Ka-ka-ka! A low sound rang out as the key slowly turned. The bronze box also made cracking sounds. Then, the bronze box slowly cracked open. There wasn't any terrifying aura inside, nor was there any terrifying light. This caused everyone to be stunned. When they looked carefully, the bronze box was completely open. Two things fell out. One was a fist-sized treasure seal. It was square and had mysterious runes engraved on it. Above the seal, there was a malevolent head that made one's heart tremble. The other one was a rolled-up bee skin. These two items were simple and unadorned, lying there quietly. What are these two things? No one knew. The crimson dragon waved its claws and grabbed the animal skin. Haha, like we said before, our immortal palace wants half. It just happens to be two things. The beast's skin is ours. Here's a jade seal. You can divide it among yourselves. F***K. Damn snake, hand it over. Those people went crazy and screamed like crazy. To be honest, even Elder Li, Elder Zhang, Xing Tian, and the others from Immortal Palace were stunned. They did not expect the Crimson Dragon to act so quickly. A smile appeared on Lin Xian's face, as expected of his old partner. Sure enough, he understood his intentions. The people from the Yin-Yang sect roared. Lin Xian sneered. Why, they had agreed on the conditions before, and now they want to go back on their word? It wouldn't be good if word got out that the sacred lands went back on their word. Who would cooperate with you in the future? You. Hearing this, the elders of the Tai dynasty and the Yin-Yang sect were so angry that they vomited blood. They trembled and almost fainted from anger. How hateful! But there was nothing they could do. They had indeed agreed before. If they went back on their word now, their reputation would be tarnished, and very few people would dare to cooperate with them. Therefore, they could only suffer this loss themselves. The other sacred lands were also envious. Damn it, if they knew there was no danger, they would have taken the key themselves. That was because they did not discover any danger during the entire process. It was just a false alarm. That made them regret it very much. However, it was useless to regret it. Lin Xian took the beast's skin and threw it into the black earth. Don't think about getting back what you put in, unless someone could blast open the black earth. However, even an invincible king would not be able to blast it open. All right, you guys can study this yushi yourselves. Immortal Palace will not interfere. Lin Xian shrugged. Xingtian, elderly, and the others also smiled. They had obtained a complete one of the two items. This was definitely a great harvest. Everyone, let's study this jade seal first. What exactly is it? Yi family's elder Zhang said in a deep voice. He was also very envious and curious about Lin Xian's beast skin. However, it was not a good time to ask now. It was better to wait until they left the tomb and let Yi Wudao ask. Yi Wudao and Lin Xian had a good relationship, so he should be able to ask what the beast skin was. At least let them know that it was a cultivation technique. A map? Or was it some ancient secret? The rest of the people studied the jade seal. Even Murong Qingqing and Shen Jingqiu brought people over. However, at that moment, the yushi suddenly bloomed with countless rays of light that pierced in all directions. Cries of alarm sounded one after another, and blood flowed out. Damn it! These people roared furiously, attacking madly, blasting apart the heaven and earth in front of them. Lin Xian also stood up and furrowed his brows. His eyes were like lightning as he stared ahead. Murong Qingqing and Shen Jingqiu were also there. Qingqiu, are you all right? Lin Xian asked. Shen Jingqiu and Murong Qingqing were escorted out by the elders of the two holy lands. Their expressions were grave. They were fine. They were just scratched. Murong Qingqing shook her head. She had a small cut on her arm. Shen Jingqiu also had a cut on her hand, and a few drops of blood flowed out. On the other side, Yi Wudao, Wuhua, and the Grand Xia Prince all retreated. Among them, many of them had suffered cuts and bruises. Lin Xian was shocked. Xingtian, Crimson Dragon, and the others also cried out in surprise. Even Yi Wudao had been injured. That shouldn't be possible. They knew how powerful the Saint Physique was. It was an existence that could catch a heaven-tier treasure with its bare hands. There was no need for them to explain how powerful its body was. Moreover, the people from the Demon Imperial Palace were all injured. Even Yan Ryu had a scratch on her body. It had to be said that the previous attack was too strange. What exactly was that Imperial Jade Seal? The cultivators from the Immortal Palace heaved a sigh of relief. Fortunately, Lord Long didn't take the Imperial Jade Seal. Otherwise, they would be the ones injured. That was too terrifying. They felt a lingering fear. The Crimson Dragon frowned. Kid, you have to be careful with that beast skin when the time comes. I feel that it's very strange. Lin Xian nodded and sent a voice transmission to He. Tuesday He 2 directly sealed the beast skin in the Black Earth ship. Lin Xian's brows twitched. He suddenly turned around and found a strange problem. Chapter 2573. Lin Xian's eyebrows twitched. He suddenly turned around and found a strange problem. Rizalong, something's not right. Look at those injured people. Aren't they the ones who were chased by the Bloodwing Bat King? Yi Wudao Wuhua, Gu Santong, the two girls, and the prince of the Great Xia dynasty. They all have the power of bloodlines, and their bloodlines are very powerful. That's right. Those ordinary disciples aren't injured. Damn it, the Imperial Jade Seal is attacking people with bloodlines again. Lin Xian hurriedly said his guess. The saints and elders of the other sacred grounds frowned when they heard it. Bloodline power. It's bloodline power again. Previously, the Bloodwing Bat King was chasing people with bloodlines. Now the Imperial Jade Seal was attacking people with bloodlines. What's going on? Generally speaking, people with bloodlines were peerless geniuses. It's normal for them to be attacked. Some elders guessed. Someone exclaimed, "Look, the blood in the sky." Everyone looked up. They saw that the blood in the sky didn't fall to the ground. Instead, it quickly entered the imperial jade seal as if it was attracted. Buzz, buzz, buzz! The imperial jade seal absorbed all kinds of bloodlines and emitted light. The entire imperial jade seal turned from white jade to blood jade. Whoosh! Finally, it floated in the sky and spun nonstop. Streaks of blood-red light accompanied the patterns on it and floated out. It emitted a strange aura. No way! What is this imperial jade seal made of? There were so many violent attacks, but it didn't break at all. Someone screamed. The others also came back to their senses. Indeed, when they were attacked, the elders fought back with all their might. Logically speaking, a heaven-grade artifact should have been shattered. However, there wasn't a single crack on the imperial jade seal. Needless to say, this must be a heaven-defying treasure. However, this treasure was beyond their expectations. Buzz, buzz, buzz! In the sky, the blood-red light became stronger and stronger. The power it emitted became more and more terrifying. Suddenly, with a tremor, the imperial jade seal flew to the side. The void collapsed in an instant, giving everyone a fright. The warriors in that direction hurriedly fled. However, what made everyone heave a sigh of relief was that the imperial jade seal did not continue to attack these martial artists. Instead, it directly flew towards the huge purple cloud demonic vine in front of them. Buzz, boom! In the next moment, the blood-red imperial jade seal slammed into the purple cloud demonic soaring. Hum the purple cloud demonic vine trembled. Countless vines swayed, and the entire space shook as if it would collapse at any moment. Ka! What happened this time? Everyone was startled. They saw that below the purple cloud demonic vine, the huge branch suddenly split open from the middle. It was as if it was torn apart by a pair of invisible hands. A huge monster was pushed out from the crack. Rumble! The void was shattered. What is this? Purple cloud soaring. Everyone was shocked. Lin Xian also narrowed his eyes. His eyes flashed. He discovered that what came out of the crack was actually the purple cloud devilton. Merely, this purple cloud demonic vine was clearly even more ancient. Furthermore, it was shaped into a coffin made of purple cloud devil vine. Looking at the appearance of this purple cloud demonic vine, it should be from tens of thousands of years ago. Who could be so generous? The purple cloud demonic vine was not an ordinary plant. It was a mutated plant. The one in front of them was alive and had a cultivation of 7,000 to 8,000 years. It was at least an invincible king. And the one that was made into an official coffin was very likely at the level of a saint. But now, the corpse of a demonic beast saint had been made into a coffin. How could they not be shocked? Perhaps only an even more powerful saint would be able to do such a thing. Thinking of this, they gasped and their eyes burned with passion. As expected, this was the final burial place. The new purple cloud demonic vine coffin was very likely the owner of this ancient tomb. For a moment, everyone was on guard. They watched carefully. Roughly half of the purple cloud demonic vine coffin came out before it stopped. In fact, the crowd could see that there were actually 8 chains surrounding the purple cloud demonic vine coffin. Each of them was as thick as an arm. The chains were dark green in color and were engraved with runes. They gave off a feeling as heavy as a mountain. They firmly locked the purple cloud demonic vine coffin. What was going on? What was going on? Everyone was puzzled. It was one thing for the coffin to be special, but why were there 8 chains locking it? Was it trapped here, or was there some other explanation? Everyone knew that ancient tombs contained feng shui and spirit veins. It was very mysterious, and they could not completely understand it. Therefore, in their opinion, the 8 chains were very likely some kind of saying, used to remove some kind of flaw. After waiting for a long time, the purple cloud demonic vine coffin completely quieted down. Everyone looked at each other. Should they go up and take a look? There shouldn't be any danger. Everyone was very curious. After all, This was the first time they had seen the tomb of a saint. A few daring people went up to take a closer look. There was no danger. That made everyone feel even more relieved. Therefore, everyone also went up and led the people from the immortal palace. However, they did not get too close. The Gu family, Yi family, Morong Chingcheng, and the others were even more so. After all, they were attacked and even injured earlier. Therefore, they were very careful now. When they got closer, they realized that there were runes carved on the purple cloud, demonic vine coffin. They were very mysterious and densely packed, covering the entire coffin. Even the elders of the clan of the ancients and the sacred land could not recognize those runes. The crimson dragon looked at it for a long time and then said, "I only recognize one word. The word at the front is blood. I don't know anything else." Blood. Lin Xian frowned. He had a feeling that this ancient tomb seemed to be targeting people with bloodline power. "Should we open it and take a look?" Someone suggested. As soon as those words came out, many people were shocked. "Do you have a death wish? Do you dare to open the tomb of a saint?" "That's right, we probably don't have the strength to open it, even if we want to. If we open it and find that it's the corpse of a saint, we'll all be finished." Those elders quickly shook their heads. What a joke! They were also tempted. They knew that there must be a shocking treasure in the coffin. However, they did not dare to open it at all. Of course, they did not dare to open it, but it did not mean that they would give up on the ancient tomb. They had already investigated it. They decided to hurry back and inform the living fossils and the grand elders of the sacred land to bring the supreme divine weapons and attack it. Bang! 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 Just as they were about to leave this place, a deep voice suddenly sounded. Everyone turned around. What was going on? What happened? Who was behind it? No, it wasn't us. Where did that voice come from? Damn it, why do I feel that the coffin moved? What? Don't talk nonsense. Everyone had been frightened by the Big Dipper coffin before. Any one of the things that came out of the coffin could defeat everyone. Now, it was the coffin of a saint. If something came out of it, it would kill all of them in one move. Chapter 2574. That was the coffin of a sage. If it walked out, it would kill them all in one move. Bang! 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 This time, the sound was even more intense. Everyone could clearly feel that the vibration came from the purple cloud, demonic vine coffin. Furthermore, they could even see that the entire coffin was trembling slightly. Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. Many people were so scared that they wet their pants. Damn, that coffin had actually mutated. Could it be that it had turned into a corpse? They frantically retreated, wanting to escape. However, they were all surrounded by the vines of the purple cloud, demonic vine. They couldn't escape at all. Moreover, what shocked them even more was the purple cloud, demonic vine coffin behind them open with a bang. Countless rays of light shone, and terrifying energy rushed out. The scalps of the people below went numb, and many of them directly fell to the ground. "Ancient sage, we didn't mean to offend you. Please let us go. We won't dare to come again." Many people begged for mercy. However, there were also some people who turned their heads abruptly, and Lin Xianlin was one of them. Lin Xian looked back and was stunned. In the next moment, the azure dragon claw grabbed forward. "Ha ha ha, we're rich." The dark red dragon also waved its dragon claw. The others, including Yi Wu Dao and the prince of the Great Xia dynasty, also made a move. Seeing this scene, the people who were originally afraid turned around. They found that the purple cloud, demonic vine coffin had indeed opened. However, no corpse came out. There was actually a coffin inside. Moreover, the gap between the large coffin and the small coffin was filled with divine crystals. Each of them was the size of a fist, colorful, and contained terrifying energy. Those were divine crystals, which were incomparably precious outside. At this moment, they filled the entire space. "Attack!" The others also roared. All the sacred lands madly attacked. Of course, they also knew their limits. They didn't dare to touch the small coffin inside. Although it was called a small coffin, it was only slightly smaller than the purple cloud demonic vine. The large one was dozens of meters in size. The small one was more than 20 meters in size. In an instant, all the divine crystals between the two coffins were snatched away. There were more than 1,000 divine crystals here. Lin Xian and the others were the first to make a move, so they snatched the most. The others more or less got a share. On Lin Xian's side, he had snatched nearly 200 pills. The lowest number of people only managed to snatch a dozen, while the majority only managed to snatch dozens. Compared to Lin Xian, there was still a huge gap. Therefore, many people looked at Lin Xian with red eyes. They couldn't help but want to kill him for his treasures. However, when they thought of Lin Xian and Immortal Palace's strength, they all clenched their teeth and gave up. There was nothing they could do. They couldn't win. As for the other aristocratic families, like the Yi clan and the Grand Xia Empire, they didn't dare to provoke them either. Damn it, I actually missed such a good opportunity. No, the next opportunity must not be missed. They gritted their teeth and fixed their gazes on the second coffin inside the coffin. Don't move. This coffin might really contain the corpse of a saint, the Crimson Dragon warned. Hearing this, everyone's eyelids twitched. The elders of the remote antiquity families all stood out. The people of the 4 great dynasties also frowned. Yan Ruyu and the others from the monster imperial palace put away the divine crystals they had snatched. Their eyes also flickered. Triple immortal suppressing coffin. Yan Ruyu opened her red lips. Triple immortal suppressing coffin? What's that? The young warriors were very confused, but the elders of the remote antiquity families and the 4 great dynasties narrowed their eyes. Ancient sects like the Yin-Yang sect and the Tao East Sacred Ground also frowned. Could it be that legend? Heavens, is there really someone who wants to do this? How is that possible? Exclamations were heard one after another. Lin Xian was very confused. Legend? What legend? Triple immortal suppressing coffin. What exactly is it? He also didn't know about this ancient legend. Triple immortal suppressing coffin was a very ancient burial method according to legend. There were a total of 3 coffins, big and small, and the outermost one buried the corpse. Each coffin was made of extremely precious metal or wood. A large amount of energy and vitality would be placed between each coffin to preserve the corpse. Moreover, the coffins were buried in places with extremely rich spirit veins. It was even said that very mysterious Tao patterns were engraved on them, but we don't know the details. We only know that the triple immortal suppressing coffin had a special effect after being buried. It was said that it was possible to bring the dead back to life. It could be said that it was a very magical and strange burial method. What? Bring the dead back to life? Hearing this, Lin Xian was shocked and gasped. How is that possible? Even the great emperors couldn't bring the dead back to life, not to mention the others. The palace master was just a legend. As for whether someone had really come back to life, there had never been any records of it in history. Moreover, very few great emperors used triple immortal suppressing coffins. There seemed to be some taboo. He didn't expect to find triple immortal suppressing coffins in the saint's ancient tomb. Kid, don't worry about it. It's just an ancient legend. It's impossible to bring the dead back to life. The Crimson Dragon shook his head. He didn't believe in such a legend, and so did the others. Although they felt that the triple immortal suppressing coffins were extremely strange, they wouldn't believe in such a magical thing like coming back to life. However, the Crimson Dragon swallowed his saliva. If the first coffin was covered with divine crystals, what would the second coffin be made of? It was probably worth far more than divine crystals. If they could open it, they would definitely be rich. The others had the same thought. Anyway, if the second coffin was opened, it wouldn't be the real corpse. Therefore, they wanted to do it. As long as they didn't open the third coffin, they shouldn't be in danger. The elders of the sacred land discussed, and decided to open the second coffin. That was because the things inside were too tempting. Lin Xian and the others discussed and decided to do it. The Yi family, the Gu family, and the others also wanted to do it. Bang! Bang! However, before they could do it, the second coffin began to tremble as if it was about to open again. Damn it, what happened? Why did it open automatically? Was it really going to come back to life? Heavens, that's impossible. That was just a legend. How could a dead person come back to life? Moreover, it seemed that he had definitely been dead for tens of thousands of years. Look at the runes on it, we don't recognize them at all. This corpse is at least 80,000 years old. Everyone swallowed their saliva, but this time they didn't retreat too much. That was because they knew that even if the second coffin was opened, it wouldn't be a corpse. Boom! Boom! Not long after, the second coffin began to tremble more and slowly opened. Chapter 2575. The second coffin trembled more and more as it slowly opened. Rumble, 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 rumble. A deep sound rang out, accompanied by a heavy aura. Immediately after, the sky was filled with green light. Everyone felt refreshed. The injuries and energy that they had consumed had recovered in an instant. Heaven's treasure! My injuries are completely healed. What a pleasant expression! Haha, great! They had thought that they would need to rest for a few years to recover, but they had recovered in an instant. Damn it, it's a green light. It's just a ray of light, and it's enough to heal us. This is definitely a heaven-defying treasure. At this moment, everyone's eyes turned red. They had all gone crazy and rushed forward. Everyone finally arrived at the front and saw the situation inside clearly. After the second coffin opened, a third coffin appeared. The third coffin was dark purple and about 7 meters long. The runes on it were even more profound. One would be lost in it with just a glance. Everyone hurriedly cut off their souls, not daring to pay too much attention to it. They were afraid that their souls would be destroyed if they looked at it any longer. How terrifying! Lin Xian's heart trembled. Even with the heavenly secret god eyes and the great dragon sword spirit, he still did not dare to look too much, because the runes on it were too terrifying. If they were carved by someone, a single rune would be enough to kill everyone here. The power of a sage. This is definitely the power of a sage. For the first time, Lin Xian felt how terrifying a sage was. This was a completely different realm from a king. He estimated that the source of power used by both sides was different. Everyone was careful, not daring to look at the purple coffin. They looked at the space beside them and saw that there were many leaves in there. Each leaf was incomparably green and crystal clear. Although tens of thousands of years had passed, they still emitted a powerful vitality. The tree of immortality. These are the leaves of the tree of immortality. Heavens, does such a tree really exist? Someone exclaimed, and the others screamed when they heard that. The tree of immortality was a very magical tree in the true spirit world, known as the divine tree. No one knew when it had grown, nor did they know how many tens of thousands of years it had lived. They only knew that it seemed to be immortal and indestructible. The tree of immortality had already become a spirit and would not appear in the world. Even if they did appear, they would only exist in various peerless forbidden grounds. Therefore, it was very difficult to obtain its leaves. However, its leaves were extremely mysterious. It contained a powerful vitality. It was said that as long as a single leaf was not destroyed, it could allow a dying person to recover instantly. This effect was like having a second life. Moreover, it was said that it was also effective against invincible kings. Back then, the saints had even fought for it. One could imagine how precious the tree of immortality was. Such a treasure was enough to make everyone's eyes red with envy. Attack! Someone roared. Suddenly, a powerful aura burst out and swept through the world. A terrifying light shone in all directions. At that instant, their alliance was shattered. The tree of immortality is ours. Bright laughter rang out. Then, countless sword lights crisscrossed the world. Swords of light were inserted into the void. These light swords joined together to form an extremely terrifying sword formation. Dian, sword formation. Get lost. With a thunderous roar, a palm shot out, blotting out the sky. It was as if an ancient, demonic statue had descended from the sky. It crashed into the sword formation. The two sides erupted with incomparable power. Terrifying cracks extended in all directions. The four symbols, holy suns, made their move. Buzz! Between heaven and earth, countless chaotic chi flickered, hanging upside down like a waterfall. The saintess of all beginnings made her move. The saint of all beginnings was not to be outdone. His body flickered with chaotic light like a sun as he charged over. Kill! The Tao I Holy Sun, Yi Wu Dao Wu Hua, and the others also made their moves. Lin Xian also made his move. In the face of such a treasure, it was impossible for him not to be tempted. Next to him, Shen Jingqiu and Murong Qingqing also led the elders of the two sacred lands to attack quickly. For a moment, a chaotic battle broke out. Fortunately, this was the ancient tomb of a saint, and the coffin was also a saint's, so it was not damaged. Lin Xian shouted coldly. The snow-white little monkey jumped out and manipulated the shabby small bowl to retrieve the items from the void. However, those immortal leaves were in the saint's coffin and could not be retrieved from the void. The power of the saint isolated everything. This made the snow-white little fox scratch its ears and cheeks in anger. However, it still found an opportunity, because the battle between the Dian Saint and the four symbols' holy suns was very fierce. In the end, they sent two leaves flying. Buzz! The two leaves floated in the sky, shuttling back and forth among the countless rays of light. Ha 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 ha, it's mine! The four symbols' holy sun stretched out his large palm. Every finger was as sharp as a dragon and carried with it a supreme divine power. He grabbed the two leaves. Don't even think about it. The Dian Saint sneered. Sword light erupted from his body, and the Dian's sword formation was even more arrogant. The two of them fought very fiercely. However, at this moment, a light flashed in the sky, and the two leaves disappeared into thin air. Damn it! Who dares to snatch our treasures? The four symbols' holy sun was furious. His roar shook the 9 heavens. The Dian Saint's eyes were like swords that swept in all directions. At this moment, the two holy suns were really angry. The surrounding people who were fighting for the treasures were so scared that they all retreated. Even some of the elders felt their scalps go numb. Oh, oh, oh! The snow-white little monkey kept jumping. It came in front of Lin Xian, raised the shabby small bowl, and grinned. Lin Xian was even more delighted. He was a little disappointed that the snow-white little monkey could not retrieve the items from the saint's coffin. However, he did not expect it to work this way. As long as the undying tree leaves left the saint's coffin, the snow-white little monkey would be able to snatch them. As expected, the first 2 undying tree leaves were obtained by him. Damn it, it's him. It's that damn monkey. The Dian Saint and the 4 symbols' holy sun were extremely powerful. They instantly captured the snow-white little monkey. When they saw the snow-white little monkey give the 2 leaves to Lin Xian, the 2 holy suns' eyes instantly turned red. Damn it, this is too much. Kill that kid. The 2 holy suns roared and charged over. Boom! An earth-shattering sound was heard. The void beside the 2 holy suns cracked open, and a black hole directly swallowed the 2 of them. Space-shattering fist. Xing Tian retracted his fist, and a terrifying aura was emitted from his body. If you dare to attack the young master, you'll have to get through me first. Holy Sun! No. The people of the 4 symbols and Dian sacred grounds screamed crazily. They saw their holy suns being swallowed by the black hole and disappearing. How could they tolerate this? Damn it, kill him. Kill the people of the immortal palace. The people of the 2 holy lands attacked crazily. Damn kid, I'm going to kill you. An elder of the 4 symbols, holy lands, instantly appeared near Lin Xian. Chapter 25:76. The elder's hair was white and his figure was stooped, making him look extremely old. However, in an instant, an unparalleled power erupted from his turbid eyes. His short and small body also abruptly expanded. Boom! In the end, the elder had transformed into a white-haired war god. His eyes looked disdainfully as the aura on his body crushed the void. Boom! For symbols, sacred fist. The old man waved his fist, not holding back at all. Humph! Lin Xian snorted coldly and fought back. The terrifying power of the 5 elements flickered on his fist. Using his fist as a sword, he smashed through the void. Boom! 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 The 2 collided, causing heaven and earth to collapse. With the 2 of them as the center, a terrifying wave was formed and spread towards the surroundings. Puff! Beside them, many people were sent flying, coughing up blood. The 4 symbols, sacred ground, elder's expression changed as well. His ruddy face instantly turned pale as he spat out a mouthful of blood. His entire arm was also deformed instantly. Crack! 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 A crisp sound was heard as the 4 symbols, sacred ground, elder's arm was directly broken. Ah! He screamed miserably as he retreated, continuously, trampling on the void. Damn it, how is this possible? How could his strength be stronger than mine? The elder was extremely shocked and did not dare to believe it. He was a peerless almighty and an elite of the 4 symbols, sacred ground. The 4 symbols, sacred ground, was known for its boundless strength and powerful defense. However, he was now being suppressed in terms of strength. His arm was even shattered by a single punch. He could not believe it at all. Kill! With a furious roar, his broken arm instantly recovered. The elder's white hair fluttered as he charged forward again like a god of death. After an intense battle, the 4 symbols' holy land's elder's body was completely destroyed, apart from his head that was still intact. In fact, his body was shattered 3 times. Ah! The 4 symbols' sacred ground elder roared at the sky as his shattered body was reassembled. However, the aura on his body was much weaker than before. Buzz! The elder turned and fled, no longer lingering in the battle. Humph! Trying to escape? Lin Xian sneered as he executed the demigods and quickly chased after him. The other party came to kill him and he fled because he could not kill him? How could it be so simple? He wanted to let everyone know that he, Lin Xian, was not someone who could be killed by just anyone. Wang. In the sky, countless sharp sword lights flew out. The terrifying light flashed and shattered the world. This scene caused many people to turn their heads. They were scared out of their wits when they saw the scene in the distance. Heavens, what am I seeing? That brat was actually chasing after an elder? That was too scary. The 4 symbols, holy lands, really did not learn from their mistakes. He actually dared to fight with Lin Xian? Discussions rang out as the people from the 4 symbols' sacred grounds roared like they had gone mad. Damn brat, stop. You dare to hurt my elder? I'm not done with you. Roars rang out one after another, but Lin Xian remained unmoved. Boom! Boom! In the end, the elder from the 4 symbols' sacred ground was mercilessly killed, never to be revived. Damn it, I'll fight it out with you. Many experts from the 4 symbols' holy grounds charged forward. Roar! Lin Xian directly brandished his dragon-shaped sword qi, sweeping out in all directions. Those experts were sent flying, their faces full of horror. Wang. Killing intent surged wildly from their bodies. Damned brat, my 4 symbols' sacred grounds will not play with you. Humph! I'll accompany you any time. Lin Xian's voice was cold. But if you want to kill me, you have to be prepared to be killed. No matter who you are, whether you are a saint or an elder, I won't let you off. At the end, sword qi surged from Lin Xian's body. A terrifying sword light was like a divine sword that reached the heavens, shining until people could not open their eyes. Hearing this voice and feeling this sword qi, many people trembled. Lin Xian's gaze turned, staring at the people from the Dian sacred ground. You guys want to attack me too? Humph, brat, you're too arrogant. An elder from the Dian sacred ground stood out. He carried 3 treasure swords on his back, terrifying sword light flickering on his body continuously. His Dian sacred ground was also a peerless sacred ground. How could he lower his head to a brat? Although the other party was very powerful, he was more confident in his Dian sword technique. Moreover, he was an elder who had lived for nearly 2,000 years. He did not believe that he would lose to a brat. Whoosh! The elder from the Dian sacred ground waved his hand, and the 3 treasure swords on his back flew out and waved in front of him. Rays of dazzling sword light descended from the sky like the Milky Way, slicing through the void. Ka! Lin Xian pulled out the ancient Dragon Abyss sword and quickly met the attack. The ancient Dragon Abyss sword enlarged and became a giant sword. It danced in the sky, annihilating all the incoming sword light. Since you want to fight, don't blame me for not being polite. The great dragon sword soul roared, and the 4 seals on the ancient Dragon Abyss sword were released, flickering with incomparable light. Rays of sword qi slashed down, instantly blasting the Dian sword formation. The 3 treasure swords trembled in the sky and flew out. There were even cracks on them. No way, so powerful. These people were dumbfounded. The people from the Dian sacred ground were so frightened that their scalps went numb. This elder of theirs was extremely terrifying. The 3 treasure swords on his back were also very famous. But now this elder was forced to retreat, and there were cracks on the 3 treasure swords. Is this brat still human? Why do I feel like he's going to defy the heavens? There was no need to think about it. He had already entered the ranks of the top saints. In a one-on-one fight, other than Yi Wu Dao and the others, no one was a match for him. Those elders were no match for him either, unless they ganged up on him. Indeed, ordinary elders were no match for Lin Xian in a one-on-one fight. Therefore, the Dian sacred ground shamelessly sent out another elder. On the 4 symbols sacred ground side, another elder flew out. 3 elders against Lin Xian. CK, this is going to be a big game. Seeing the 3 elders standing in the void and crushing the world, the surrounding people trembled. That brat is going to be in danger. Indeed, no one could beat him in a one-on-one fight. But there was no suspense in a 3-on-1 fight. Brat, your people have been restrained. Let's see who can save you this time. In the 4 symbols sacred ground, a middle-aged man gritted his teeth. The 2 elders of the Dian sacred ground were even more murderous. Indeed, Xing Tian, Elder Li, the Crimson Dragon, and the others were fighting with others. They were fighting for the undying leaf. Now, there was no one around Lin Xian who could help him. Is that so? The corners of Lin Xian's mouth curled up. With a wave of his hand, a blood-red figure appeared beside him. Seeing this figure, the elders' eyelids twitched wildly, and their faces instantly turned ugly. Bloodrobe Bat King. Damn it, how could they forget about this? This Bloodrobe Bat King was extremely terrifying. It could definitely restrain one of them. As for the remaining 2, would they still have a 100% chance of winning if they fought each other? They did not know. The 3 of them were already the most people they could send out to support Lin Mingya. If they sent more people over, they would be at a disadvantage in other battles. They were discussing and predicting their chances of winning. Suddenly they screamed. Chapter 2577. That was because they discovered that after the Bloodwing Bat King, there were dozens of black bugs beside Lin Xian. One by one, they crawled in the air. Their pitch-black bodies flickered with a metallic light. Damn it, it's those bugs. He can control those bugs. The three elders were so scared that their faces turned pale and their bodies began to tremble. The people in the distance also cried out in alarm. This was the third time they had seen Lin Xian use those black bugs. If the first two times were a coincidence, what about the third time? The other party must have mastered some kind of method to directly control those bugs. Thinking of this, they were extremely terrified. Those bugs were not any weaker than the Bloodwing Bat King. Come, have a taste of the gifts I've prepared for you. Lin Xian grinned. The three elders, however, turned around and fled. What a joke! They were confident in fighting 3 against 1. Now that the other party had taken out 2 trump cards, they could not win at all. 3 streaks of red light streaked across the sky and fled into the distance. How could Lin Xian let them go? With a wave of his hand, the black bugs and the Bloodwing Bat King quickly charged over. He even used the demigods and semi-devils to fly rapidly in the sky. Boom! Boom! Ah! In the end, the 3 elders let out miserable screams and angry roars. A great battle broke out. The 3 elders knew that they could not escape, so they did not hold back at all. They exerted their combat strength to the limit. At the same time, they threw out all kinds of trump cards without any regard for their lives. But in the end, they were still killed. There was no other way. Whether it was Lin Xian, the black bugs, or the Bloodwing Bat King, they were all very terrifying. They were not people they could fight against at all. 3 streaks of blood mist exploded and spread in all directions, turning into a sea of blood that surged in the sky. It dyed a corner of the sky red. Everyone was stunned. No one dared to go up and find trouble with Lin Xian. Lin Xian waved his hand and controlled the Bloodwing Bat King and the black bugs that filled the sky to quickly charge over. He wanted to use these 2 trump cards to snatch the leaf of immortality. Get lost. Kill. For a moment, countless angry roars came from below, and terrifying energy surged. In the end, Lin Xian also joined the battle. The battle lasted for a long time. 2 figures broke through space and flew back. They were the 4 symbols Holy Sun and the Grand Evolution Holy Sun. Their expressions turned gloomy. When they found out what had happened earlier, the 2 of them were completely enraged. They charged downwards in search of Lin Xian and prepared to take revenge. What kind of joke was this? An elder of their holy land had been killed in front of everyone. They had to take revenge. Whoa! A large palm stretched across the sky, completely enveloping the space where Lin Xian was. Damn it! The people around Lin Xian were also furious. This palm didn't just envelop Lin Xian, it also enveloped them. Lin Xian turned his head and looked at the sky, a cold glint in his eyes. Acting recklessly, he thrust out his sword and collided with the sky-covering giant hand. Whoa! Suddenly, the Grand Evolution Saint appeared behind Lin Xian, and the Grand Evolution sacred sword in his hand slashed out quickly. Bang! Lin Xian didn't dodge, and he pushed out his left hand. It was as if an azure dragon had collided with the Grand Evolution sacred sword, and a sonorous sound was heard. Whoa! At the same time, a golden light appeared in his eyes, and he looked at the Grand Evolution Saint. The Grand Evolution Saint screamed, and the sword chi on his body exploded to defend himself. He was pushed back, and his face was extremely pale. In the sky, the 4 symbol Saint saw this scene and quickly defended himself with his soul. In an instant, everyone retreated a great distance. Damn it! This brat used his soul attack again. Seeing the fear in everyone's eyes, Lin Xian sneered. He didn't attack again, but took out a bronze bell and shook it in the sky. Ding! Ding! Dang! The terrifying sound waves spread in all directions, and the surrounding people were sent flying while vomiting blood. Damn it! The Grand Evolution Saint and the four symbols, saints' faces changed instantly. Flower Protector, this brat took it out again. Damn it! The treasures that Lin Xian had obtained in this ancient tomb were too powerful. They could only use their trump cards to defend themselves. However, it was impossible for them to attack Lin Xian. In the end, the four symbols Saint and the Grand Evolution Saint gave up. This was because they couldn't do anything to Lin Xian even if they joined forces. Moreover, even if they fought until the end, both sides would be injured. It wasn't worth it at all. Therefore, the two of them didn't attack Lin Xian and instead joined the fight. While Lin Xian was fighting, the Bloodwing Bat King and the Black Bug didn't stop. Among them, the black bug wrapped around 3 leaves, forming a big black ball that flew quickly in the sky. Countless attacks landed on their bodies, creating sonorous sounds and sparks as they pierced through the void. However, the bug was refined from Dark Night Black Gold, which was equivalent to a heaven-grade artifact. For a moment, no one could break it, and they could only watch as Lin Xian left with the 3 leaves. On the other side, the Bloodwing Bat King also snatched 2 leaves. It directly activated its blood-sucking ability, scaring the surrounding people into retreating frantically. It also successfully brought back 2 leaves. Xing Tian, elderly, and the others all obtained some. On the other side, the Yi family, Gu family, Wavering Light Sacred Land, and Lanrua Temple also did the same. Murong Qingqing and Shen Jingqiu also gained a lot. In the end, more than 100 leaves were completely divided among these sacred lands and sections. Of course, everyone received more and less. For example, Lin Xian, the Yi family, and the Gu family, who were more powerful, naturally received more. Lin Xian's side had obtained 12 leaves, which was considered the most. After all, there were only a total of more than 100 leaves. There were dozens of sacred lands, so it wasn't enough to share. 12 leaves was already very heaven-defying. Sure enough, many people looked at a mortal palace from time to time. It seemed that they were very jealous. However, no one dared to make a move rashly. After obtaining the leaves, these people quickly retreated, formed their own groups, and sat down cross-legged. Array formations flickered one after another. The previous battle was very intense and many people had died. Even more people were seriously injured. At this moment, they naturally wanted to recover. All kinds of heavenly treasures, spirit pills, and miraculous medicines were swallowed without any regard for their lives. These people's bodies were overflowing with light. Lin Xian and the others didn't suffer much injuries, so at this moment he was counting the spoils of war. Moreover, his eyes flickered as he stared into the distance. The undying leaf was gone, but the purple coffin was still there, flickering mysteriously. There were 3 layers of immortal suppression coffins. The 3rd layer of coffins should contain the bodies of the saints. Lin Xian's expression was solemn. He had a sage's hand bone in his hand. Just a small section of the hand bone was so terrifying that it made people tremble, not to mention the entire corpse. If it appeared, it could probably kill all of them. Therefore, everyone was very conscious and didn't have any ideas about the 3rd coffin at all. They decided to quickly leave after recuperating. Bang, bang, suddenly a low sound rang out again, echoing in the entire space. Chapter 2578. The cultivators who were meditating and recovering from their injuries suddenly opened their eyes. Fear appeared in their eyes. They quickly stood up and looked around in bewilderment. Damn it, what's that sound? Many people trembled and pointed in front of them. They almost knelt on the ground. The purple coffin moved. It moved. The sound came from inside. What? The 3rd coffin. The expressions of the elders and saints changed. Lin Xian's pupils also constricted. He also saw that the purple coffin had jumped just now. Moreover, the sound came from inside the purple coffin. The 3rd coffin is the corpse of a saint. Could it be that the corpse of a saint has changed? Don't joke around. If the corpse of a saint is resurrected, we're all finished. Let's go, let's go. Those people felt their scalps go numb. They did not care about their injuries and retreated one after another. Whoosh! Whoosh! However, at that moment, a strange sound was heard again. It sounded like someone was breathing. The sound rang clearly in their ears, and many of them were so scared that they wet their pants. The elders also turned their heads abruptly. Their faces were pale. A sharp light appeared in Lin Xian's eyes. It even formed a pair of golden eyes above his head. He looked down at the ground. Where did that sound come from? What a trick! Cold shouts could be heard. Lin Xian's gaze was fixed on the purple coffin. The sound of breathing came from inside the coffin. He said in a deep voice, "What? The sound of breathing came from inside the coffin? Kid, don't joke around." "That's right. Although your eye technique is powerful, you can't scare us like that." The young disciples were about to cry. "What kind of joke is this? That's the corpse of a saint. If the corpse of a saint can breathe, could it be that it's coming back to life?" Xing Tian, elderly, and the others looked serious. The Crimson Dragon was also shocked. "Kid, are you sure you're not mistaken?" "Brother Xian." Murong Qingqing and Xin Jingqiu also looked over. Countless gazes gathered on Lin Xian. Lin Xian nodded. "I can't be mistaken. The breathing is coming from inside." Everyone felt as if they had been struck by lightning. Many of them immediately knelt on the ground. The elders of the Yi family and the Gu family also turned pale. "Palace Master Lin is right. We also sensed it. It can't be, right?" Everyone's hearts went cold, and their faces turned pale. This corpse was tens of thousands of years old. How could it still be breathing? Breathing meant that he was alive, a sage who had lived for tens of thousands of years. If this news were to spread, it would probably shock the entire world. This was impossible. The elders shook their heads frantically. Even a great emperor couldn't live that long, let alone a saint. But what's with that breathing sound? The people of the Jade Lake sacred ground were also puzzled. The elder of the Wavering Light, Holy Land, said, "Don't panic. It might not be what we think." After all, the saint's tomb was special. Just because there were breathing sounds didn't mean that the saint was still alive. That was indeed the case. Hearing this speculation, many people's expressions eased, and they all breathed a sigh of relief. As soon as he finished speaking, the people of the Wavering Light, Holy Land, regretted it. Their faces even turned green. Not only them, but everyone was also stunned. Lin Xian and the others also looked incomparably solemn. The young martial artists were so scared that they wet their pants. That was because the third purple coffin in front of them was making cracking sounds, and then it slowly opened. That was not all. Inside the coffin, a figure slowly rose. It was like an elevator, rising from the bottom of the coffin to the top. This made it so that everyone could see it without getting too close. There was indeed a corpse. On the purple jade platform, there was a figure lying on it. Around the corpse, there was a small stream of crystal clear water droplets flowing in all directions. The water didn't flow outside, but all of it fell from the jade platform into the purple coffin. At this moment, everyone's injured bodies recovered in an instant. The effect was even more terrifying than the undying leaves from before. Heavens, what are these water droplets? It must be a supreme treasure for recovery and healing. Everyone was overjoyed. Those from the sacred grounds who didn't get too many undying leaves before were even more envious. Of course, they were only envious. No one dared to go forward. In fact, they kept retreating. The spring of life, it was the spring of life. The spring of life that was rumored to be able to bring bones back to life. Everyone went crazy. The elders of the Yi family and Gu family were also breathing rapidly. Even Xing Tian, elderly, and the others were trembling with excitement. Lin Xian had also heard of this name, but he had only seen it in ancient books. He didn't expect to see it in real life. At the side, the Crimson Dragon's face was ugly. Damn it! What was this sage trying to do? First, there were so many divine crystals, then the undying leaves, and now the spring of life. All of these were treasures that contained powerful vitality, coupled with the legendary triple immortal suppression coffin. Could it be that this sage was really trying to revive? As soon as these words came out, everyone was shocked. It couldn't be. Could it really be possible for someone to come back from the dead? Other than being turned into a puppet or a zombie, they had never seen anyone who could come back from the dead. Puppets and zombies were still beyond the normal resurrection process. They couldn't be considered resurrection at all. Huff, huff, just as the crowd was discussing spiritedly, the sound of breathing was heard once again. This time around, the crowd was able to hear it clearly. It was coming from the corpse lying before them. Everyone's scalps went numb, and a chill rose from the bottom of their hearts. They couldn't see the corpse clearly because the corpse was wearing armor. The armor covered the corpse's entire body. Only a pair of eyes were exposed, but they were still closed. It must be said that when they saw the armor, the crowd exclaimed in surprise. That was because the armor was too exquisite. It was more exquisite than any armor they had ever seen. There were streamlines on it, as if it was a supreme treasure of heaven and earth. Runes and Tao runes interweaved with each other, forming an exquisite pattern that covered the armor. It's really good stuff. If we can get this thing back, who in the world will be our match? Just as everyone was panicking, a cold voice sounded. Then 5 or 6 figures rushed forward like ghosts. Who's that? Are they tired of living? Lin Xian was surprised. The others also exclaimed in surprise. Their eyeballs almost popped out of their sockets. Damn it, they're from the Chasing Corpse sect. Oh no, what are they trying to do? The elders of the Yi family and the Gu family exclaimed in surprise. The others also came back to their senses. Is the Chasing Corpse sect from that ancient sacred ground in Nanjiang? They're here too. Damn it! Could it be that they were hiding before this? No one had seen them before. They thought that the other party must have been in disguise. Now that they saw the saint's corpse, did the Chasing Corpse sect finally lose their patience? The Chasing Corpse sect was a sacred ground in Nanjiang. It was very ancient and mysterious. That sect was very special. Their main method of attack was to use corpses and control corpses. In their view, corpses were their weapons, their source of strength. And those people from the Chasing Corpse sect did it. They refined corpses. The Dharma treasures they formed were very terrifying and powerful. However, they didn't expect those people from the Chasing Corpse sect to be so bold as to set their eyes on the saint's corpse. Could it be that they had a way to obtain the saint's corpse? What a joke! Everyone could not believe it. Was the saint's corpse something that could be obtained just like that? Even an invincible king would not dare to do it, right? Chapter 2579. Everyone's scalps went numb as they retreated crazily. The 6 elders of the Chasing Corpse sect still arrived near the corpse. The 6 of them stood in 6 directions and quickly formed seals with their palms. Terrifying black holes appeared one after another. In front of them, 6 corpses appeared. Whoosh! The 6 zombies opened their bloody mouths and spat out 6 black rays of light that intertwined in the sky. They formed a large black net that enveloped the area below. It covered the corpse of the saint, including the purple coffin. It enveloped everything and wanted to take it away. Could it be that this was the legendary Hell's magic net? It could see everything in the world? An elder of the 1,000 Calamity sect said, "Now that you mention it, I remember that the Chasing Corpse sect does have such a treasure. I didn't expect them to bring it." The elders of the other sacred grounds also turned pale. Damn it, they couldn't have succeeded, right? Many people became nervous and their eyes turned red. Although the 3rd coffin was dangerous, it was the corpse of a saint. If they brought it back, they would definitely make a fortune. The saint's body was full of treasures. A wisp of saints' might could destroy the world. If they could obtain the saint's corpse, it would be equivalent to a huge treasure vault. Moreover, the saint was wearing a set of armor. It was probably a saint's artifact. Not to mention the saint's corpse. Just the spring of life in the third coffin was enough to make them jealous. This was the spring of life that could revive bones and had a strong vitality. It was very rare and could not be seen outside. He. It's us. The 6 elders of the Chasing Corpse sect had ferocious expressions as their eyes emitted a dark green light. The hell's magic net carefully enveloped the saint's corpse and the purple coffin. Damn it, hurry up and attack. Finally, someone could not help but roar. They naturally wanted a share of the loot. However, Lin Xian's pupils constricted as he quickly waved his hand and said, "Let's go." At the same time, the dragon's sword's spiritual domain enveloped everyone. Pum! Just as he finished doing this, an earth-shattering sound was heard. Between heaven and earth, countless rays of light shone as if they were the light of destruction. A black hole was drawn in the sky, and it directly shattered. The 6 elders of the Chasing Corpse sect and the 6 zombies were all enveloped. A miserable voice sounded, causing everyone's scalps to go numb. Quick, defend! The people from the Holy Lands and major sects were so frightened that they hurriedly used their trump cards to defend themselves. The terrifying fluctuations came and went quickly. In an instant he disappeared. Everyone thought that they were dreaming. However, the shattered spell formation around them and the shattered armor on their bodies indicated that the spiritual power fluctuations they had sensed just now had indeed existed. Lin Xian also withdrew the dragon's sword domain, and they looked forward. Then he drew in a breath of cold air. Up ahead, the people of the Chasing Corpse sect had already disappeared without a trace. Not even a drop of blood was left behind. Not only the 6 elders of the Chasing Corpse sect, but their 6 zombies had also disappeared. Even that terrifying treasure, the Hellweave, had disappeared. What? Everyone was shocked. Was this the power of a saint? This was too terrifying. In an instant, it could kill a peerless expert. However, this was not what frightened them the most. What terrified them the most was that the corpse in front of them was actually sitting up. That's right, he did sit up. His upper body was upright as he sat on the purple jade platform. Damn it, what's going on? Could it be that the sage had been resurrected? Everyone trembled. F***CK. Chasing Corpse sect, I'll remember you. If I can return alive, I'll kill every member of the Chasing Corpse sect I meet in the future. Many people went crazy. It was all because of the damn Chasing Corpse sect that they had to make a move. If they didn't make a move, the sage's corpse definitely wouldn't have changed. And it wouldn't have sat up like now. Who knew if the other party would have survived? Because they should be able to feel that the sage was indeed breathing. A corpse was breathing. This made them think that the sage in front of them shouldn't be dead. It was as if he had fallen into a deep sleep. I've encountered such a situation before. If a person is sealed in a divine crystal or the spring of life, they can indeed be preserved for tens of thousands of years without dying. However, in that case, the amount of divine crystals and the spring of life required was extremely large, to an unimaginable extent. On top of that, only martial monarchs or supreme saints were able to do it. Could it be that the sage in front of them was like that? When these words were said, everyone was shocked. Those elders all had terrified expressions on their faces. They had naturally heard of this possibility. That was because in the past a powerful seeker spirit master had once cut open the stone transported out of the primordium ancient mine. At that time they cut out such a thing. That stone was very large, dozens of meters tall. In the end, a divine crystal that was more than 10 meters tall was cut out. That divine crystal was incomparably resplendent. However, what was terrifying was that there was actually something sealed in the divine crystal. A monster beast. In the end, it was jointly taken away by the people of several remote antiquity families. Moreover, this matter was quickly suppressed and only became a legend. However, it was spread among the various sacred grounds. At this moment, when they saw the strange thing in front of them, they naturally recalled the previous legend. However, the people of the Gu family frowned. That shouldn't be. The corpse was clearly not sealed. Although it was soaked in the spring of life, it was completely different from being directly sealed by the spring of life. If it wasn't sealed, it couldn't have survived for tens of thousands of years in the spring of life. Moreover, if it wasn't dead, why would it spend so much effort to build an ancient tomb? Why was that? Everyone was puzzled. Lin Xian, Crimson Dragon, and the others also frowned. But Elder Li's body was trembling slightly. Not only him, but Elder Lu, Elder Wang, and the other two were also feeling the same. Xing Tian also had a look of horror as if he had seen a ghost. Xing Tian, elderly, what did you find? Lin Xian asked in a deep voice. He found that the expressions of these elders were not right. Meanwhile, Elder Li, Xing Tian, and the others were staring ahead intently. No way, how could it be? How could it be that thing? Not to mention Lin Xian and the others, Peacock, Hu Yidao, and the young martial artists of the Mortal Palace were also puzzled. At this moment, the elders of the surrounding sacred grounds also looked over. Fellow cultivator, what did you find? The elder of the Jade Lake sacred ground asked in confusion. This Elder Li and the others did not say anything. They discussed with each other. Xing Tian sighed. Forget it, we can't hide it. Sooner or later we will find out. This matter is already beyond our control. Hurry up and call for help. What's going on? As soon as he said that, everyone around was shocked. Lin Xian was even more puzzled. Elder Li took a deep breath. He also knew that this matter could not be hidden, so he said in a deep voice. Chapter 2580. Elder Li took a deep breath. He also knew that this matter could not be hidden, so he spoke in a deep voice. The Yuhua Immortal Robe. What? The Yuhua Immortal Robe? As soon as these words came out, the eyelids of the elders of the Yi family, Yaoguang Sacred Land, and Gu family twitched fiercely. Their eyes erupted with an incomparable light, and the aura on their bodies swept through the 9 heavens. In the next moment, they stared intently at the corpse of the saint who was sitting up in front of them. To be precise, it was the clothes on the corpse of the saint. Could it be that this was the legendary Yuhua Immortal Robe? Heavens, it can't be, isn't that a legend? Could it really exist? These elders were stunned. Those young disciples were very puzzled. Elder, what is the Yuhua Immortal Robe? Yes, is it very precious? Is it a saint's treasure? They had never seen their elder so agitated. It should be a saint's treasure. However, the elders of the various sacred lands shook their heads. The Yuhua Immortal Robe had probably surpassed the saint's treasure. It was a supreme treasure between heaven and earth, and it was very magical. Rumor had it that wearing the Yuhua Immortal Robe could bring the dead back to life. One could even live forever. What? Bring the dead back to life? Immortality. At this moment, those young disciples were all stunned. Their breathing became rapid, and their eyes were red. They also stared intently at the figure in front of them. However, Yi Wudao, Wu Hua, the Prince of Great Xia, and the others frowned. Lin Xian's eyes flickered. Immortality? Bring the dead back to life? How was this possible? Didn't they say that even great emperors couldn't escape death? If they didn't become immortals, they would eventually become a pile of dust. This was also the reason why everyone was so obsessed with becoming an immortal. Because only by becoming an immortal could one have eternal life and immortality. But now these elders were telling them that a Yuhua Immortal Robe could allow one to live forever? This directly impacted their understanding. If there was such a treasure, how could it be in the hands of a saint? It must have been taken away by the great emperors. No, the Yuhua Immortal Robe was very magical. It had not appeared for hundreds of thousands of years, or even longer. It only existed in extremely ancient legends. We even thought that it was impossible for the Yuhua immortal robe to exist. But we didn't expect it to appear again now. Everyone was shocked. However, there were also people who were doubtful. That might not be the case. Perhaps not even immortal palaces, people, could be sure that this was feather immortal. That's right. The others were also puzzled. Wasn't this corpse breathing before? We suspect that it was sealed by the divine crystal and the spring of life, and that's why it survived until now. From the looks of it, that might not be the case. This saint might really be dead. However, he wore the Yuhua immortal robe and lived through countless years. What? The dead had come back to life. Everyone felt as if they were listening to a legend. Could it really be the effect of the Yuhua immortal robe? Everyone was shocked. But then again, how could a corpse breathe? If the legend of the Yuhua immortal robe was added, then everything could be explained. Thinking of this, everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. Many people were going crazy. They didn't expect that they would actually encounter the legendary Yuhua immortal robe. This was a blessing accumulated from several lifetimes. The feather immortal Yi had disappeared for over 100,000 years. Even some martial monarchs had never seen him before, but now they actually saw it. Boom! An earth-shattering sound rang out. Then the void cracked open, and heaven and earth lost their color. Rolling death chi filled the air, and an incomparably terrifying black palm pierced through heaven and earth like a demonic mountain, shattering the void. It shrouded downward. As soon as the black palm appeared, many people directly fell to the ground, and even more people vomited blood and flew out. Their faces were full of horror. The elders and saints of the various sacred grounds also felt their scalps go numb, and they quickly retreated. Lin Xian and the others also retreated rapidly. Elder Li instantly summoned the bean soldiers, and countless puppets completely surrounded Lin Xian and the others. Damn it, it's an invincible king. An invincible king has appeared, an old man exclaimed, and with a bang, his body split open and turned into a bloody mist. Seeing this scene, everyone screamed. That was a peerless, mighty figure, but he was actually shattered by the aftermath of the energy. One could imagine that it was definitely an extremely heaven-defying energy. In addition to the previous voice, they believed that an invincible king had really appeared. Was it the guardian of the ancient tomb? Everyone immediately thought of this possibility, because there was a woman in white next to him. However, they soon realized that was not the case. Although this black palm carried a sky full of death chi, it was incomparably terrifying. However, it was not the guardian of the ancient tomb. It was someone from the Chasing Corpse sect. It was the invincible king of the Chasing Corpse sect who had made a move. The Yuhua immortal robe must belong to the Chasing Corpse sect. The huge palm smashed the surroundings, and countless black auras drooped down. It was like the demonic aura from hell rolling over. It spread out in all directions, completely sealing the entire space. Damn it! Leaf Daudenier roared, and his golden chi and blood surged into the sky. A golden giant stood indomitable. The immortal king descends to the 9 heavens. This was his terrifying technique, and he wanted to destroy everything in all directions. However, this time, the boundless black aura completely suppressed the immortal king descends to the 9 heavens. Leaf Daudenier kept retreating, vomiting large mouthfuls of blood. Damn it! Protect Daudenier! The elders of the Yi family roared angrily, and they all surrounded Leaf Daudenier to protect him. Leaf Daudenier was their Yi family's sacred physique, and they absolutely could not allow anything to happen to him. The Yi family's sacred physique was indeed worthy of its reputation. It could actually block a wisp of my aura. A cold voice sounded between heaven and earth. As soon as this voice came out, many people directly exploded. Those who were weak couldn't bear it at all. Even the elders, saints, and saintesses couldn't help but vomit blood. Lin Xian was also affected. He felt the qi and blood in his body churning, and his body seemed to be about to explode. It was terrifying. Was this the power of an invincible king? Lin Xian was shocked. Next to him, the Crimson Dragon and the others were so angry that they roared again and again. Damn it, they actually brought an invincible king here. They were about to go crazy. The huge palm in the sky rumbled in all directions. It was like an ancient, demonic mountain, pressing down on everyone until they couldn't breathe. The invincible king didn't reveal his true body. Just a palm was enough to sweep in all directions. He injured Leaf Dao Denier with one palm, then stared at the Alcade Holy Sun. Boom! He waved his palm gently and boundless black aura spread out, turning into a black dragon that rushed towards the Alcade Holy Sun. Not only that, but many black dragons appeared in the sky. In addition to the Alcade Holy Sun, they also rushed towards Lin Xian, the Grand Xia Prince, Wu Hua, Murong Qingqing, Shen Jingqiu, Yan Ruyu, and the others. It could be said that all the top peerless geniuses were attacked by the black dragons. Chapter 2581. Not good. Damn it. Get lost. The saints roared as if they had gone mad. The dragon-patterned cauldron trembled as it grew larger in the sky. It was as if a mountain was crushing the void. On Wu Hua's side, a boundless Buddha phantom appeared on his body. It was very mysterious. The Grand Xia Prince's golden sword transformed into a golden dragon that roared in all directions. Yan Ruyu's body emitted a green light. Murong Qingqing waved his phoenix wing golden fan and sent out a phoenix phantom. Shen Jingqiu shouted as a boundless purple aura spread out from her body. It was very mysterious. It enveloped her completely. Lin Xian's expression was even more serious, as if he was facing a great enemy. He used all his strength to activate the great dragon sword soul, and a terrifying dragon roar sounded between heaven and earth. Then it turned into a dragon-shaped sword shadow and slashed forward. Pung pung pung. The other saints and saintesses attacked at the same time. Terrifying energy rolled between heaven and earth, causing the void to shatter completely. Pung pung pung. Puff. Figures retreated one after another as they spat out mouthfuls of blood, dyeing the sky red. At this moment, Lin Xian, Yan Ruyu, and the others were all injured. There was nothing they could do. Their opponent was an invincible king. Although it was just a light attack from an invincible king, it was not something they could resist. What top geniuses! That was all they could do. You want to climb the path of a great emperor? The invincible king of the Chasing Corpse sect said in a disdainful voice. The black palm was filled with killing intent. Damn it! You dare to attack us? The elders of the Yi and Gu families were furious. They did not expect the invincible king of the Chasing Corpse sect to be so crazy. He dared to attack all the top geniuses. What was he trying to do? Was he trying to kill all the top geniuses? They did not dare to imagine. The others were also terrified. The saints trembled. If Yi Wudao, the Grand Xia Prince, and the other top geniuses died here, there would be an earth-shattering shock in the outside world. Not to mention the other saints and saintesses. Just the death of Yi Wudao would probably cause the Yi family to go crazy. At that time, it was very likely that he would become a living fossil of the Yi clan, and he would wield an extreme weapon to sweep away the Chasing Corpse sect. Just thinking about this scene made one's scalp go numb. After all, once an extreme weapon appeared, it was no longer just the Chasing Corpse sect's problem. That was because its power was simply too terrifying. It could definitely cause endless territories to sink. This was definitely an earth-shattering catastrophe. Therefore, the crowd could not understand why the Chasing Corpse sect was so bold. Humph! If I kill all of you, the news won't spread. The invincible king of the Chasing Corpse sect said coldly. The light on the black palm became more and more terrifying, and boundless demonic qi spread out. At this moment, everyone coughed up blood once more. Lin Xian, Leaf Daudenier, and the other elders were all infuriated. However, they couldn't resist at all. However, before the invincible king of the Chasing Corpse sect could make his move, another shocking change occurred. Up in the air, the blood of Leaf Daudenier, Yen Ruyu, and Murong Qingqing continued to converge. Instead, they turned into streaks of red light and flew toward the sage's corpse. Then, all the blood was absorbed into the sage's corpse. Seeing this scene, everyone was stunned. Even the invincible king of the Chasing Corpse sect exclaimed in surprise. In the next moment, a pair of black eyes appeared in the sky, staring coldly at the sage's corpse below. Damn it, what's going on? Why is the corpse sucking blood? He didn't know, but he felt that things might be serious. Buzz. As expected, his guess was right. After the blood of the top geniuses entered the sage's corpse, the sage's tightly shut eyes slowly opened. Streaks of terrifying light swept in all directions, like peerless heavenly sabers that cut through the void. Wherever it passed, nothing could withstand it. Crack! Crack! Terrifying cracks spread out, and everyone frantically retreated. At this moment, all the sacred grounds and clan of the ancients had used their trump cards. Buzz! On the Yi family side, a golden cauldron floated above them, completely enveloping them. On Lin Xian's side, Elderly took out a decree. In the sky, countless terrifying runes flickered. They weren't the only ones. The Jade Lake Sacred Ground, Xixia Sacred Ground, Wavering Light Sacred Ground, Fei Imperial Palace, Gu Family, and all the other sacred grounds and sects didn't hold back at all. This was because if they didn't use their final trump cards, they might be killed by the pressure. Terrifying light erupted in the sky, and intense sounds collided. The invincible king of the Chasing Corpse sect bore the brunt of the impact. His black palm was impacted by the sage's power, and the sky shook and the earth shook. The black palm kept slapping, shattering the entire sky. However, in the face of the sage's power, he couldn't withstand it at all. In an instant, the black palm was torn apart. In the sky, the pair of black eyes also became blurry and filled with fear. Boom! The void shattered, and a figure appeared in the sky. He was like a demon king, and his aura made people tremble. An invincible king had appeared. That's right, the invincible king of the Chasing Corpse sect finally couldn't hold back anymore. His true body had appeared. In front of him, there was a pitch-black corpse. It was similar to his, but it was expressionless. This was a zombie that he had refined, and it was also the corpse of an invincible king. It was very terrifying. At this moment, he had used the invincible king zombie to its limit. At the same time, a large black net floated above his head. Hell's demonic net. It was the treasure of the Chasing Corpse sect. Previously, everyone thought that the Hell's demonic net had shattered, but they didn't expect it to be taken away by this invincible king. Now that it was displayed again, it was truly terrifying. After all, the strength of an invincible king was much stronger than that of a peerless almighty. In addition to the Hell's demonic net, two more things appeared beside the invincible king of the Chasing Corpse sect. One was a black bead that looked like an eye. It was very strange. The other was a black demonic saber that emitted a strong aura of death. Obviously, the invincible king didn't dare to be careless in the face of the sage's corpse. He had to go all out. Whoosh! The others retreated crazily. In a battle of this level, just the aftermath of a wisp of energy was enough to kill them. Fortunately, their elders had already used their shocking trump cards to protect them. Otherwise, no one would have been able to survive. On the Immortal Palace's side, Lin Xian's face was pale. He swallowed a few drops of earth spirit liquid, and the bones in his body crackled. Previously, when he was resisting the aura of the invincible king, he was injured. Fortunately, he had many heaven and earth treasures in his hands, so he had already recovered. However, his expression was incomparably solemn. Chapter 2582. The current situation had already exceeded his ability to control and endure. Not to mention him, even these elders would not be able to interfere at all. Sure enough, Elderly didn't attack. He used the top-grade puppet to protect the people of Immortal Palace. The decree above his head floated, and mysterious runes flickered in the sky. "Don't hesitate anymore," Xing Tian said. Hearing this, Elderly nodded his head. Then he, Xing Tian, Elder Wang, and Elder Lu quickly formed hand seals. The golden decree trembled nonstop as it slowly opened. The golden decree was only half opened. At this moment, it seemed to be fully opened. "Welcome, great guardian," Xing Tian, Elderly, and the others said respectfully. Their expressions were extremely sincere. Hearing this voice, Lin Xian frowned. Peacock, Hui Dao, and the other martial artists of Immortal Palace trembled, and a look of shock appeared in their eyes. Could it be? Before they could think of anything, the golden decree suddenly shone with golden light and turned into a golden waterfall spinning in the sky. The golden runes formed a mysterious formation that tore through the void. A figure appeared from the golden light in the sky. This was a man who wore battle armor. He looked extremely valiant and extraordinary. As soon as he appeared, he shattered the void, and his aura swept through the 9 heavens. His aura was no weaker than the invincible king of the Chasing Corpse sect. An invincible king, another invincible king. After the invincible king of the Chasing Corpse sect, the invincible king of Immortal Palace also appeared. Lin Xian was extremely shocked. He knew that the person who appeared was the great guardian of Immortal Palace, and his strength was extremely terrifying. However, he didn't expect Xing Tian, Elderly, and the others to have such a divine ability and method to let an invincible king descend. If the invincible king of Immortal Palace could descend, then what about the other sacred grounds and sects? Lin Xian looked into the distance again. Sure enough, his guess was right. After the great guardian of Immortal Palace arrived, the Yi family, Gu family, Dao East Sacred Ground, Wavering Light, Sacred Ground, and other sacred grounds all shone brightly. Strange runes flashed in the sky one after another. Then a majestic aura emerged and tore through the void. That aura belonged to invincible kings. Clearly, invincible kings had arrived. There were more than a dozen invincible kings. At this moment, all of them appeared in the sky together. It was truly a scene that could shatter heaven and earth. Luckily, the invincible kings of the various sacred grounds unleashed their light to protect the crowd below. That was why those people weren't affected. Before, you dared to take action against my Immortal Palace's master? As soon as the great guardian appeared, he did not immediately look at the saint's corpse. Instead, he stared at the invincible king from the Chasing Corpse sect. A sharp glint appeared in his eyes. Obviously, he wanted to stand up for Lin Xian. It was because Lin Xian was his Immortal Palace's palace master. No matter when, he would always represent their Immortal Palace. However, someone actually wanted to kill Lin Xian. If a saint or saintess of the younger generation were to attack Lin Xian, the great guardian would definitely not care. That was because he knew that Lin Xian had to go through these battles. However, an invincible king who stood at the peak of the continent actually attacked a young junior. This was something he could not tolerate. Sure enough, as soon as he said this, Lin Xian revealed a cold smile. The people of Immortal Palace also became excited. They knew that the great guardian had come to avenge them. After the great guardian of Immortal Palace, the invincible king of the Yi family also shouted coldly. Endless golden light erupted from his body, sweeping through the 9 heavens and 10 lands. A terrifying golden saint aura suddenly erupted. The invincible king of the Gu family, the Jade Pool, and the Dao One Sacred Ground, powerful figures, like divine arrows, pierced through the void and stared at the invincible king of the Chasing Corpse sect. The martial artists of the Chasing Corpse sect felt their scalps go numb, and their faces turned green. They did not expect that these sacred grounds could summon invincible kings, and more than a dozen of them appeared at once. Previously, they were smug, thinking that only their Chasing Corpse sect could summon invincible kings. This way, they could capture all the peerless geniuses in one fell swoop. The sacred grounds would suffer heavy losses. Moreover, they could push all the blame onto the saint's corpse. They could say that it was the saint's corpse that killed them. This way, they could do it without anyone noticing. However, they did not expect that before the invincible king on their side made a move, the invincible king of the other sacred grounds would descend. Moreover, everyone pointed their spears at them. They felt as if they were facing a great enemy. Their hearts turned cold, and their faces were filled with despair, because they only had one invincible king. No matter how strong he was, how could he defeat more than a dozen of them? If these dozen invincible kings attacked together, their Chasing Corpse sect would definitely not survive. Humph! The great guardian of a mortal palace took the lead. He held a red spear in his hand and stabbed out. Lightning filled the sky. Boundless divine lightning pierced through the void and charged toward the invincible king of the Chasing Corpse sect. The invincible king of the Chasing Corpse sect roared and waved his black, demonic saber to resist. However, at this time, the invincible kings of the Yi family, Gu family, Saber, Intent, Sacred Ground, and the heavens all attacked. More than a dozen invincible kings attacked together, blasting the void. No matter how powerful the invincible king of the Chasing Corpse sect was, he could not do it. Therefore, in just an instant, the invincible king of the Chasing Corpse sect vomited blood and was sent flying. The invincible king level zombie in front of him was torn apart, unable to resist at all. Ah, damn it, just you wait. The invincible king of the Chasing Corpse sect roared. He waved his hand and led all the people of the Chasing Corpse sect to escape into the distance. You still want to escape? Stay here. The great guardian snorted and stabbed out with his spear. Buzz! In the sky, a red spear descended from the sky. It was like a divine red color, directly piercing through the invincible king of the Chasing Corpse sect. Puff! Blood sprayed out, dyeing the void red. Boom! Boom! The invincible king of the Yi family waved his fist. Golden light flashed in the sky, illuminating everyone so much that they could not open their eyes. The lower half of the invincible king of the Chasing Corpse sect was instantly shattered, turning into a bloody mist. Otherwise, black holes would have appeared around him. A terrifying, chaotic aura and world-destroying light would have appeared. In short, this invincible king of the Chasing Corpse sect was severely injured. He only had a head left. He was also on the verge of death. It was covered in cracks and would shatter at any time. The martial artists of the Chasing Corpse sect below him were even more miserable. A large number of martial artists turned into a bloody mist, and less than 1% of them were still alive. Ah, with a roar, the shattered head of the invincible king escaped into the void with the remaining martial artists of the Chasing Corpse sect. An invincible king was seriously injured and fled just like that. Moreover, he was almost killed. In the surroundings, Lin Xian and the others were shocked. Yi Wu Dao Wu Hua and the others gasped. Chapter 2583. Too strong. These invincible kings were simply too strong. Every strike made them shudder with fear. They all carried boundless power. Lin Xian also clenched his fists, and his eyes erupted with a fiery light. Invincible king. He must become an invincible king. Only then could he stand at the peak of the continent. In the sky, more than a dozen invincible kings retracted their gazes from the distance and looked down again. When they saw the corpse of the saint with his eyes open, they all frowned. Shock, extreme shock. Even though these people were invincible kings and were powerful, they still felt a sense of fear from the bottom of their hearts when facing a saint. It couldn't be helped. Saints had a natural suppression on kings like them. Even if they became invincible kings, they were still kings, not saints. If they didn't surpass kings and enter the saint realm, they would never be able to stand shoulder to shoulder with saints. But now it was different. The reason for that was because that sage was not alive. Instead, he was a corpse. Although his eyes were open and he was breathing, he was still much weaker than a real living saint. The Yuhua immortal robe was indeed real. The eyes of the invincible kings of the Yi family were like two suns, blooming with light. The great guardian of the immortal palace had a solemn expression. The other's eyes also flickered, not daring to be careless. Blood. At this moment, a low and hoarse voice sounded. Hearing this voice, everyone's souls trembled. In the sky, more than a dozen invincible kings' pupils constricted. They stared down. That voice was actually from the saint's corpse. Damn it! Did this saint's corpse really come back to life? Lin Xian and the others were even more shocked. They retreated again. That was because the scene before them was simply too bizarre. It was beyond their understanding. Let's do it. The great guardian took a deep breath. Okay. The Yi family, the Gu family, and the other invincible kings all nodded. In the next moment, they quickly attacked. A long spear pierced through the void, and a golden fist was like a sun. Terrifying spatial cracks spread. At this moment, more than a dozen invincible kings didn't hold back at all. Boom! In the energy storm that filled the sky, wisps of saint power directly broke through heaven and earth, shattering all the energy. More than a dozen invincible kings were forced back. What? He was actually so powerful. Lin Xian, Leaf Dao Denier, and the others were shocked. It was only a sliver of sage might, but it was enough to cut through the attacks of the invincible kings. A saint is too terrifying. Beside him, Xing Tian, elderly, and the others were solemn expressions. It couldn't be helped. Saints had transcended the heavens and earth. They were extremely terrifying, far surpassing our imaginations. This was just a wisp of sage's aura. If it was a living sage, the Tao pattern law would be earth-shattering. It was estimated that the dozen or so invincible kings in the sky would not even be able to withstand a single blow. What? The Tao pattern laws were actually so powerful. Hearing this, Lin Xian and the others sucked in a breath of cold air, their faces full of shock. In the sky, more than a dozen invincible kings snorted coldly. A dead saint was not invincible. They also quickly used their trump cards. Some people even took out broken sage, magic treasures. Lin Xian knew how terrifying the power of a saint's fragment was. Furthermore, he did not dare to completely tear open the seal. However, these invincible kings were extremely powerful. They could tear open the seal far more than Lin Xian could. Thus, they charged over once again. The sage's corpse was still sitting there. He could not move. Only his eyes could move. However, this was already terrifying. Just his gaze alone blocked the attacks of more than a dozen invincible kings. For a moment, both sides fought until the heavens fell and the earth cracked. Boom! 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 Suddenly, strange runes appeared in the sky, one after another. They were extremely terrifying, enveloping Leaf Dao Denier, the Grand Xia Prince, and the others. Not good. Seeing this, the elders of the Grand Xia dynasty and the Gu clan screamed. Leaf Dao Denier and the others were even more shocked. In an instant, they felt as if their blood was being sucked dry. Damn it, these runes were sucking their blood. What was going on? A sage. A sage had attacked. An elder screamed. He had long since realized that something was wrong. These runes were absorbing the power of the top bloodline. Don't let him succeed. Otherwise, it was very likely that he would really come back to life. Everyone's expression changed when they heard this. Actually, it was normal. From the very beginning, they had seen all sorts of strange things. Later on, the Blood Wingbat King attacked the geniuses with the top bloodlines. All of this indicated that the entire ancient tomb seemed to be searching for the most powerful bloodlines. As for what it was for, they did not know at the time. Now, it seemed very likely that it was for the revival of the sage. At this thought, their scalps went numb. Those with the top bloodlines turned pale. If they had known this would happen, they would not have entered even if they were beaten to death. But now it was too late. In the face of the incomparably mysterious Tao pattern, they simply did not have any power to resist. Lin Xian was fine. He did not have the power of a bloodline. He only had the dragon's sword soul, so he was not enveloped by the runes for a while. However, he did not dare to be careless. After all, Murong Qingqing and Xinjingqiu were still enveloped. He had to think of a way to save them. He wanted to use the black earthen. During this period of time, he had obtained a large number of natural treasures in the tomb. He could already use the black earthen again. He wanted to use the black earthen to save Murong Qingqing and Xinjingqiu. Then he would leave this place. Who cared about the sage's corpse? It had nothing to do with him anymore. However, before Lin Xian could make a move, a roar came from afar. At first, the sound was very faint. It was obvious that it came from very far away. However, in the blink of an eye, it turned into boundless thunder and surged forth. Suddenly, the space where Lin Xian and the others were shattered. Damn it, what happened? Lin Xian, Yi Wu Dao, and the others were shocked. In the sky, the dozen or so invincible kings retreated. Their faces were solemn. Crack! The void cracked, and a blue light appeared, forming a huge coffin that floated in the sky. The elders felt their scalps go numb when they saw the coffin. Damn it, it's the Big Dipper coffin. Isn't this the first coffin? Why is it here? The elders had gone crazy. When the Big Dipper coffin appeared, they had told the younger generation to evacuate. As for the elders, they were working together to kill him. In the end, they had suppressed a few coffins. Among them, the first coffin was the most mysterious and the most terrifying. However, nothing strange happened. When they left completely, the first coffin did not open. The elders heaved a sigh of relief, but they did not expect that the first coffin would appear here. Moreover, it emitted such terrifying sound waves. Could it be that the sage's corpse had summoned it? Chapter 2584. Could it be that the corpse of the sage had summoned it? Everyone's expression turned ugly. The corpse of a sage was already so terrifying. If he were to summon another powerful guardian, those invincible kings would probably be defeated. However, to everyone's surprise, the first coffin of the Big Dipper didn't attack the invincible kings or Lin Xian and the others. It was the corpse of the sage. A blue lightning bolt shot out from the coffin and struck down. Its target was the corpse of the sage. Everyone was taken aback by this scene. What's going on? Shouldn't the first coffin of the Big Dipper be the guardian of the tomb? Why would it attack the corpse of the sage? This made them all dumbfounded. Lin Xian and the others were also very surprised. The corpse of the sage raised its head, and two beams of divine light shot out from its eyes, shattering the lightning bolt. Clang! Otherwise, the two beams of light hit the blue light curtain, causing a monstrous tremor. The coffin trembled from the impact and shattered into pieces in an instant. The surrounding void also collapsed in an instant. A blood-colored figure rushed out from the blue light curtain. Everyone's scalp went numb when they saw that. The blood-colored figure was a corpse. However, the skin on it was gone, and only flesh and blood were exposed. It was a blur. The blood dripped down and directly pierced through the void. One could imagine that this person must have been a very terrifying existence when he was alive. However, everyone still underestimated the blood-colored corpse. That was because the expressions of the dozen or so invincible kings in the sky instantly changed. Damn it, it's the blood of a sage. A drop of blood crushed the surroundings and made them tremble. Only the blood of a sage could cause such a terrifying scene. They didn't expect that the corpse in the coffin was also the corpse of a sage. Damn it, there were 2 sages in this ancient tomb. To be honest, they were all dumbfounded, because they never thought that this would be the result. If they used all their trump cards, they might be able to fight against the corpse of a sage. But now, they couldn't fight against the corpses of 2 sages. Although these sages were all dead, their sage power and blood were not something that they could resist. For a moment, the invincible king's expressions became extremely ugly. The eyelids of Lin Xian and the others were also twitching. They didn't understand what was going on. The experts from the demon imperial palace screamed. This was demonic blood. The saint's blood contained a strong demonic aura. This was a demon saint. That's right, it was indeed a demon saint. Yanruyu and Hua Tindu also had ice-cold expressions. They also felt the aura of the demon clan. The others' expressions changed. What was going on? How could it be a demon clan saint? Could it be that one of them was a human ancient sage, while the other was a demonic beast ancient sage? Why are these 2 saints together? Roar! Just as everyone was puzzled, the blood-colored sage above launched another attack. He charged towards the saint's corpse below, and a huge blood-red hand appeared, covering the entire sky. Could it be that his target was also the Yuhua immortal robe? Everyone was shocked. This must be the case. This demon saint also wanted to snatch the Yuhua immortal robe? Ka ka ka! Below, the saints of the human race dealt with it calmly. The armor on his face made cracking sounds and retreated to both sides, revealing a face. When they saw that face, everyone exclaimed. Lin Xian's pupils constricted, because this face was very familiar to him. It was a woman's face. It was as pale as paper and very beautiful. However, everyone realized that they seemed to have seen this face before. Damn it, it was that woman in white. Lin Xian was extremely shocked. He had taken the bronze key from the mouth of the woman in white before. How could he forget this face? But why did the saint's corpse look exactly the same as that woman in white? Could it be that the 2 of them were originally the same person? At the side, the Crimson Dragon also said, thinking about it, that woman in white should be a clone of this corpse. Sending his clone to guard his ancient tomb should be the safest way. That could only be the reason. Everyone nodded, but they still couldn't understand why there were 2 saints. However, this was no longer important, because the 2 of them had already started fighting. Although both of them were corpses, they directly tore the entire sky apart as soon as they fought. Large cracks also appeared on the surrounding ancient tomb. It couldn't be helped. Just because the invincible kings couldn't break the ancient tomb didn't mean that the saints couldn't. As expected, the 2 of them had only exchanged 10 moves when the sky shattered and the light from outside shone in. Run! Seeing this scene, the invincible kings roared angrily. They also activated the saint artifact fragments in their hands and joined the battle. In an instant, the battle became even more intense. The destruction of the saint's ancient tomb became more and more severe. Countless cracks spread in all directions, directly tearing the ancient tomb into pieces. Seeing this scene, Lin Xian and the others didn't dare to delay. They turned into a long rainbow and flew out. It was too dangerous inside. They had to leave. When the saints fought, it was estimated that millions of miles would sink directly. Even millions of miles wouldn't be safe. They had to retreat quickly. Buzz! At this moment, the powerhouses of the various sacred grounds used their trump cards and quickly left. Boom, boom, boom. After they left, the saints of the human race rode the purple coffin and soared into the sky as well. The blood-colored, sacred beast chased after them. More than a dozen invincible kings also followed with treasures in their hands. They also left the ancient tomb. After leaving the ancient tomb, without the suppression of the ancient tomb's laws, the energy instantly attacked the area within a radius of 5 million miles. Immediately, the sky collapsed and the earth cracked. The surrounding creatures were in a terrible situation. Screams sounded one after another. Lin Xian and the others even activated the Black Demon ship and quickly retreated with all the Immortal Palace's martial artists. The Yi family, the Gu family, and all the Sacred Ground sects did the same. They retreated 5 million miles away and didn't stop. They didn't stop until they were 10 million miles away. Everyone heaved a sigh of relief. I wonder how the battle is going. Someone said with a fearful expression. It would definitely be very intense. They just didn't know who would win in the end. Let's wait and see. These people already felt safe after retreating to this point. Therefore, they wanted to wait and see how the battle was going. However, not long after, a roar sounded in the distance. Then, a ray of light pierced through heaven and earth. Even though they were 10 million miles away, everyone could still see it. Another invincible king had made his move. Moreover, it was an extremely powerful invincible king. Xing Tian, elderly, and the others exclaimed. The people of the Yi family were also extremely shocked. This should be someone from the Great Xia dynasty, right? After all, this territory was within the Great Xia dynasty. Sure enough, after this ray of light, a few more terrifying rays of light pierced through heaven and earth. Figures that looked like gods and demons appeared. They were all invincible kings of the Great Xia dynasty. Chapter 2585. Not only the Great Xia dynasty, but the news was also spread by the various sacred grounds. In an instant, the experts of the surrounding dynasties all rushed over. Even the experts of the eastern wilderness, western desert, northern plains, and southern border opened their gates and directly descended. This time, not only did they come alone, but they also brought shocking treasures and terrifying trump cards. Because this matter concerned the Yuhua immortal robe, they had to be serious. In fact, many supreme elders and living fossil elders had also come. Some sect masters even came personally. This was a huge shock that spread across the 5 continents of the true spirit world. It was something that Lin Xian had never imagined before. He didn't expect that the ancient tomb of a saint would have such a huge impact. On the Immortal Palace's side, Elder Li and the others also informed the other guardians. Xing Tian even took out a secret scroll to inform Xiajiu. With such a big thing happening, they had to inform Xiajiu. Only with the old palace master personally taking action would there be a guarantee. In the sky, jade gates opened one after another and powerful figures descended, chasing after the corpse of the human race's saint. Their goal was the Yuhua immortal robe. Of course, there were also people who were very interested in the 2 saint corpses. After all, saints were full of secrets. If they could obtain it and study it, it would be of great help to their strength. These people had already reached the peak of the king realm, and they were just 1 step away from the saint realm. But this step had trapped them for thousands of years. Now that there was such an opportunity, how could they let it go? In an instant, a great battle broke out. The sky collapsed and the earth cracked. Everything within tens of millions of miles was affected. Wherever it passed, not a single blade of grass grew. It was too terrifying. Lin Xian and the others were shocked when they saw this scene. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Lin Xian's side wasn't peaceful either. Powerful figures descended one after another, and a terrifying killing intent filled the surroundings. Among them, there were people from the 5 Elements Palace, the 9 Firmaments Sacred Emperor, the Myriad Thunder Sacred Ground, and the Tai Dynasty. There were also people from the Yin Yang sect. As soon as they appeared, they surrounded Lin Xian. Terrifying killing intent swept out in all directions. Elder, great, Elder, hurry up and kill him. He killed our holy son. The people of 5 Elements Palace, Myriad Lightning Sacred Ground, and 9 heavens, sacred ground, roared madly. Previously, when they sent a message to the invincible kings, they also sent a message to their holy land. Therefore, the Holy Land had sent many experts to kill Lin Xian. How dare you kill the 5 elements, Saint? Kneel down and accept your death. No one in this world can save you. The expert from the 10,000 Thunder, Holy Land, said coldly, I won't kill you so easily. I'll torture you for 7,790 years and let you know the feeling of living a life worse than death. The experts of the 9 firmaments, Holy Emperor, were like death gods. It was the same for the Yin-Yang sect and the Tai dynasty. An old man from the Yin-Yang sect made the first move. He looked down at Lin Xian from above, wanting to kill him with a palm strike. Fellow Taoist Yin-Yang, you're not being kind. You should have left this brat to us. The people from the 5 elements palace sneered. The people of the Tai dynasty also said, Don't kill him. Capture him first, and we'll torture him. Humph! Lin Xian waved his hand, and the Bloodwing Bat King appeared in front of him, shattering the huge palm. What was that thing? How could it be so powerful? Seeing the new blood-red monster, the experts who had just arrived were shocked. It was a puppet, the guardian of the saint's ancient tomb. It was controlled by the brat. At the back, the disciples of the 5 Elements Palace and the Tai dynasty quickly explained. The guardian of the ancient tomb was so powerful, many powerful elders' eyes lit up. It was really a treasure. How could such a treasure be in the hands of a piece of trash? Hand it over obediently. These people were very greedy. They stared at the Bloodwing Bat King. They knew that the things in the tomb, even if it was a pile of dirt, had endless magical uses. They regretted not entering the ancient tomb before. But now, the brat had brought out such a powerful guardian. How could they not be tempted? Elder, not only does this brat have a guardian, but he also has the Dark Knight Immortal Metal and the Flower Protector. He also has all kinds of natural treasures. At the back, those disciples roared crazily. Hearing these treasures, the eyes of the surrounding elders turned red. They looked at Lin Xian. Brat, what do you have to be able to get so many treasures? Hand it over obediently, or I will make you suffer a fate worse than death. Humph! You want to take my treasure? Do you have the life to take it? Lin Xian looked around and said coldly, These bastards really deserve to die. They actually secretly called so many experts to surround and kill him? He remembered these holy lands. In the future, he would never let these people go. Xing Tian, elderly, and the others on the side also stood out. You want to attack our palace master? You have to ask if we agree first. Your immortal palace is powerful, but can you resist the joint attack of so many of us? An expert from the 1,000 Thunder Holy Land also stood out. Lightning surrounded his body like a thunder god, looking down on the people of Immortal Palace. Humph! I killed the saint child. Why? You want revenge? Then make your move. Lin Xian sneered. Damn it, too hateful. Kill him. You must kill him. The cultivators of the 1,000 Thunder Holy Land were mad with anger. Now that so many of them had surrounded him, he still dared to be arrogant in front of them. They couldn't bear it. Sure enough, the 1,000 Thunder Holy Land experts' face darkened. No one dares to attack our 1,000 Thunder Holy Land, and it's even more impossible for someone to kill our saint child and live. Therefore, you should obediently kneel down and accept your death. The 1,000 Thunder Holy Land expert said coldly, You alone? You don't have the qualifications. Let your palace master come. Lin Xian snorted coldly. Reckless brat. In the sky, the experts shouted coldly. In an instant, more than a dozen giant hands reached out and pressed down on Lin Xian. Courting death, do you think we don't exist? Xing Tian, elderly, and the others were enraged. They also launched a counterattack. At the same time, elderly summoned the top puppets, the decree above his head, and the terrifying pagoda floating up and down. These people also activated their powerful trump cards to resist. Lin Xian, Peacock, Hu Yidao, and the others also launched a counterattack. The crimson dragon roared, and the dragon's roar shook the 9 heavens. In the fierce confrontation, more than a dozen giant hands were blocked. One had to admit that Xing Tian, elderly, and the others were too strong. Moreover, they had the top puppets and decrees. Therefore, although they were fewer in number, they resisted. This scene shocked everyone. No way, this immortal palace is so powerful. The people from the other holy lands exclaimed. Wu Hua, Yu Wu Dao, and the others also looked serious. Kid, do you think these people can defeat you? At this time, several figures appeared in front of Lin Xian. Chapter 2586. These people looked young, but they were estimated to be 800 or 900 years old. They were very powerful, and some of them were saints and saintesses of the previous generation. Reckless kid, you killed our saint, and you want to get away unscathed? What a joke! His voice was like thunder, throbbing and shaking everyone's ears. Was he also an elite from the 1,000 Thunder sacred ground? Today will be the day of your death. An elite from the 5 Elements Palace, surrounded by the power of the 5 elements, was so powerful that it made people tremble. You want to kill me with just you? You're too weak. Lin Xian snorted, and a terrifying sword qi surged from his body. Kid, you're courting death. The elites from the 9 heavens, sacred ground, also rushed forward. Their saint had been killed, and they could not accept it. Only by killing the kid in front of them could they vent the hatred in their hearts. Although they were not elders, they were still powerful kings. Killing the kid in front of them would be a piece of cake. They attacked wildly, but the result was beyond their expectations. Soon, someone screamed as his body was cut in half by the sword. Damn it! How could he be so powerful? These people roared crazily because they realized that the opponent's strength had surpassed the average saint's. Why are you surprised? What will surprise you is yet to come. Lin Xian sneered. With a wave of his hand, he took out the flower protector and tore open a corner of the seal. Then, a terrifying demonic sound whistled out. Clang! Clang! Boom! Boom! 2 of the elite's bodies exploded, turning into a bloody mist. One of them was blasted to the point where only his head was left, and he fled into the distance. Boom! Before he could run far, he was smashed by the crimson dragon's claw. Want to kill us? Let's see if you have the right. Seeing this scene, everyone gasped in shock. The people from the 5 Elements Palace and Tai Dynasty gritted their teeth. They did not expect the other party to be able to resist. As for the newcomers, their faces were full of shock. The other party was simply too powerful, exceeding their expectations. You've gone too far. Do you really think that the 5 Elements Palace has no elites? At this moment, a cold voice was heard. Then, the terrifying power of the 5th form turned into a ray of light and slashed towards Lin Xian. Sensing this change, Lin Xian's expression instantly changed. His pupils shrank. Wang! Lin Xian didn't dare delay and instantly entered the black earth. With a loud clang, the pentastarlight blade collided with the black earth, producing an earth-shattering sound. Soon after, the black earth was sent flying, smashing through the void and only stopping after a long distance. Palace Master! Young Master! In the distance, Xing Tian, elderly, and the others cried out in alarm. The crimson dragon also screamed, Brat, are you all right? The others were all alarmed. An unmatched king level expert, another unmatched king level expert, was taking action. They're going crazy. Who would have thought that an invincible king would descend and attack Lin Xian directly? This brat was dead meat. That's right, no matter how powerful he was, he couldn't block the attack of an invincible King Tyr. One discussion after another sounded. In the distance, Yi Wu Dao, Morong Qing Cheng, Shen Jingqiu, and the others were extremely nervous. The elders would save him. Save big brother Lin Xian. Morong Qing Cheng and Shen Jingqiu urged the peerless experts on their side. In the sky, the terrifying light of the 5 elements disappeared, and the cracks in the sky gradually healed. Everyone looked into the distance. That brat is gone, right? He must have been beaten into a bloody mist. Many people were discussing. Those from the 5 elements palace sneered. Great! Their invincible king had finally made his move. Let's see how that brat dies. However, the invincible king of the 5 elements palace didn't relax. He even frowned, because he saw a black spirit ship in front of him. The light just now had blasted onto the spirit ship. It's actually fine. The invincible king frowned. The others also noticed this scene. Heavens, what is this spirit ship? How can it withstand the attack of an invincible king? Did that brat get in? He's really lucky. They didn't expect him to have such a trump card. Everyone discussed animatedly. Morong Qing Cheng and Shen Jingqiu also heaved a sigh of relief. Humph, it's just a spirit ship. Do you really think I can't break it? The elder of the 5 elements palace sneered and slapped out with his 5 elements palm. This time he didn't hold back. The power of an invincible king instantly surged out. Clang! Boom! Boom! Terrifying energy blasted out in all directions, and the black earth was annihilated once again. This time that brat should be dead, right? That's for sure. Don't doubt the power of an invincible king. That's right. An invincible king wouldn't fail twice. The surrounding people discussed animatedly. However, when the light that filled the sky disappeared, they were dumbfounded. Their eyes almost popped out of their sockets. Even the invincible king of the 5 elements palace frowned. Nothing happened. The black spirit boat continued to float in the sky, and there wasn't even a single crack on it. Heavens, what exactly is that thing? Why is it so terrifying? Could it be that it belongs to a saint? It can't be, right? How could that brat have such a powerful treasure? That's impossible. Even if it doesn't belong to a saint, it's still an extremely valuable treasure. Otherwise, it wouldn't be able to withstand such a terrifying attack from an invincible king. Everyone was too shocked. They didn't expect that the other party would have such a treasure. Inside the black earth, Lin Xian was also gnashing his teeth in anger. Shameless, truly too shameless. An invincible king who had lived for thousands of years actually attacked him. How shameless! Damn you, one day I'll make you pay the price. Lin Xian gnashed his teeth. The crimson dragon outside stomped his feet and cursed loudly. F***CK. How shameless! Have you been living like a dog for the past thousands of years? How dare you attack a junior? Where's the face of the 5 elements palace? That's right. Shameless 5 elements palace. Shameless, invincible king. The warriors of the immortal palace also roared angrily. They were too angry. The crimson dragon sneered again. It doesn't matter if you're shameless, but don't get slapped in the face. A dignified, invincible king can't even break a spirit boat. What a joke. Noisy, where did this snake come from? Go to hell. The invincible king was furious. He slapped out again and teleported. Whoosh! The crimson dragon instantly disappeared. He directly opened the black jade platform and teleported out. When he reappeared, he had already returned to the black earth. Damn it, you actually want to kill Ben Huang? Can you do it? He had long established a formation on his body and the black earth. With a thought, he would immediately teleport over. That was why he was not afraid of the invincible king. Damn it, kid, kill him. Hurry up and kill him. I can't hold it in any longer. Use the heavenly treasure to kill him. The crimson dragon gritted his teeth. Lin Xian's face was also cold, but soon he raised a cold smile. Kill him? No, that's not necessary. Sometimes living is worse than death. Kid, what do you mean? The Crimson Dragon was stunned, but when he saw Lin Xian's eyes, he breathed a sigh of relief. Why do I feel that you have a good idea? Chapter 2587. That's for sure. Just wait and see. Lin Xian sneered. In the next moment, his cold voice sounded. Does it feel good to bully the young? Kid, you can't blame me for this. Blame yourself for being too weak. How dare you provoke the Five Elements Palace? That's the biggest mistake you've ever made. I'm weak? I'm an ant? Humph. If I'm an ant, then what about your Five Elements saint after I killed him? Trash among the ants? So, the holy son of your palace is actually this kind of trash. As soon as he said that, the warriors of the immortal palace all laughed. Even Murong Qingqing and Shen Jingqiu couldn't help but laugh in the distance. This kid is too talkative. The surrounding people were shocked, and some of them gritted their teeth. Humph, what's so great about that? No matter what he said, he was no match for an invincible king. If an invincible king wanted to kill him, it would be too easy. If a saint didn't appear, an invincible king would be the peak existence. Even the current saints and saintesses couldn't defeat them. It couldn't be helped because they were too young. One had to know that these invincible kings were all saints and saintesses a few thousand years ago. However, after 1,000 or 2,000 years, they finally grew into invincible kings. Bang! The invincible king of the Five Elements Palace attacked again. It was another terrifying punch. It blasted towards the black earth, sending it flying again. Inside the black earth, Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon's blood was also boiling. The two of them almost spat out a mouthful of blood. What the F***, CK, this guy is really too much of a bully. The Crimson Dragon was so angry that he stomped his feet. Lin Xian's expression was also cold. Kid, aren't you very capable? Why are you hiding in the spirit boat? Come out. I can kill you with one slap. Outside, the invincible king's voice was cold. The disciples of the Five Elements Palace also sneered. Damn kid, come out. That's right, aren't you very arrogant? Where's the momentum you had when you killed our saint? Trash, you're dead meat. Shouts and cries could be heard. Lin Xian sneered. Is that so? You're looking forward to me making a move, aren't you? Then, as you wish. Having said that, Lin Xian didn't hesitate at all. He took out the treasures he obtained from the tomb and gave them to Hay. Tuesday Black Earth poured them into the formation. The formation operated and converted these natural treasures into energy for the Black Earth battleship. Hey, too, don't attack that invincible king. Target the ordinary disciples of the Five Elements Palace and attack them fiercely. Didn't he like to look down on others and bully the weak? Didn't he like to flaunt his seniority? I'll let him have a taste of what it means to fight the weak with the strong. Lin Xian gritted his teeth, and the Crimson Dragon's eyes lit up. Brat, this plan of yours is pretty good. Indeed, using the Black Earth to bombard an invincible king might not be able to deal much damage to the invincible king. However, if he were to attack those ordinary disciples, it would be a different story. Boom! The Black Earth launched an attack. A black beam of light flew out like a black, demonic spear, piercing through the void. The light was fast and sudden, and it hit the disciples of the Five Elements Palace in an instant. An intense light burst out, and a black ball swept in all directions, enveloping the disciples of the Five Elements Palace. Pung, pung, pung. Ah! Miserable cries rang out as bones and blood splattered everywhere. The martial artists of the Five Elements Palace had no time to resist. They exploded into a bloody mist. Damn it! Run quickly! The surrounding martial artists also screamed crazily. They fled in all directions, but they couldn't escape at all. This attack was simply too terrifying. Therefore, in addition to the five elements palace, the martial artists of the myriad thunder sacred ground and nine heavens sacred ground were also affected. Quite a number of people were killed by the energy waves. Ah, damn brat, I'm going to kill you. In the sky, the invincible king of the five elements palace was completely enraged. His black hair fluttered in the wind, and his body emitted a terrifying aura. At the same time, he formed a light shadow that enveloped the remaining people of the five elements palace. His lungs were about to explode from anger. Lin Xian sneered. Why, don't you like the feeling of beating the weak? Now, this feeling is being used on you. Does it feel good? You, die. The invincible king's expression was distorted, and the people around him felt their scalps go numb as they retreated. Inside the black earth, Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon smiled when they saw this scene. The other party was finally angry. Great, he wanted to make the other party angry. So what? Even if the other party was an invincible king, they weren't afraid. With the black earth, the other party couldn't break in. What they wanted was the other party to go crazy and worry about not being able to kill them. In the sky, the invincible king of the five elements palace roared and attacked crazily. The energy wave completely annihilated the black earth. However, the final result left him dumbfounded, because the black earth wasn't damaged at all, and there wasn't even a crack. This scene caused everyone to be extremely shocked. Fellow Taoist, let me help you. This should be a very special ancient treasure. It's a waste in this kid's hands. Take it and make it my spirit ship. In the sky, a few more powerful figures descended. Buzz! After the invincible king of the five elements palace appeared, the invincible king of the 1,000 lightning sage also appeared. The 9 firmament divine emperor also came. The Yin Yang sect also sent one. The 4 invincible kings stood in the sky, completely blocking the space where Lin Xian was. The entire sky was completely shattered. If Lin Xian wasn't in the black earth, his body would have been torn apart by now. Even in the black earth, it was still fiercely attacked and kept rolling in the sky. However, the black earth was left behind by the previous generation's successor of the great dragon sword, so it could definitely resist the attacks of the invincible kings. However, Lin Xian's current situation was really bad, with so many invincible kings targeting him. If the black earth ran out of energy, it would be troublesome. The others naturally saw this scene. Immortal Palace, Elder Li, Xing Tian, and the others were gritting their teeth in anger. Bang! Bang! Lin Xian threw in a large number of divine crystals, and the black earth blasted out a few more black rays of light. Immediately, the ordinary disciples of the 1,000 lightning sacred ground, Yin Yang sect, and 9 firmament divine emperor screamed. A large number of martial artists were killed directly. Seeing this scene, the faces of the 4 invincible kings in the sky turned green. They had displayed such powerful strength, but the other party was still able to fight back? He could even kill their disciples? This was unbearable. Everyone, don't waste any more time. Let's work together. We must take down this kid. The aura of the 4 of them continued to rise, and they even took out their weapons. The space within a radius of millions of miles froze, and no one dared to stay here. Go to hell, brat. They were really crazy. The other party had killed so many of their disciples, and there was no escape. Chapter 2588. Boom! Pum! A world-shaking explosion of energy. Terrifying palms covered the sky and covered the sun. They pressed down, wanting to destroy everything. However, an even more terrifying power came from the void, directly shattering the 4 invincible palms. At the same time, an ice-cold voice sounded. Who dares to attack my immortal palace's master? Kill without mercy. The ice-cold voice carried terrifying killing intent, engulfing the 9 heavens. The air within millions of li shattered once again. What? Did reinforcements arrive again? Unparalleled experts had arrived. When the warriors in the distance saw the scene, they were extremely shocked. In the sky, the 4 invincible kings also frowned. They looked at the black vortex in front of them. Who was it? Get out here. The black vortex slowly disappeared, and an old man appeared in the void. He had white hair and a ruddy complexion. He wore a blue Taoist robe that had been washed until it was white. However, no one dared to look down on him. Although the Taoist robe didn't release light, it emitted an extremely terrifying aura. Extremely mysterious runes circulated on it. This was a treasure. It's me. An ice-cold voice sounded from the old man's mouth. I am Immortal Palace's second protector. What? Second protector? Immortal Palace's protector came again? In the distance, those people sucked in a breath of cold air. The 4 invincible kings in the sky also frowned. However, soon he revealed a trace of a sneer. A mere invincible king wants to contend against the 4 of us? Aren't you a bit too confident? What if I'm included? Another ice-cold voice sounded. Immediately after, a figure stood out behind the second protector. Another invincible king. Everyone cried out in shock, but this wasn't the end. After the second one, a third one, and a fourth one also quickly appeared. The second protector's lips curled into a sneer. Did I say that I came alone? In the end, the 5 protectors all descended, crushing a region of the sky. 5 Elements Palace and the other 4 invincible kings' expressions became incomparably ugly. 5 invincible kings, one more than their side. How were they supposed to fight? You like to bully with numbers. Now, I'll let you have a taste of what it means to bully with numbers. The second protector roared angrily. Then the 5 invincible kings charged over. A great collision occurred between heaven and earth. 9 invincible kings were fighting in the air. It was extremely terrifying. Lin Xian instantly controlled the black earth to fly backwards. The others retreated as well. Right now, there was no place for anyone to stay within a radius of 20 million li. Therefore, the invincible kings quickly sent messages to their saints and saintesses to bring their disciples back, because it was too dangerous now. After the incident with Lin Xian, they were extremely careful. If an enemy's sacred ground sent invincible kings to kill their saints and saintesses, they probably wouldn't be able to escape. After receiving the news, the Chosens also hurriedly opened the teleportation gate. Now that things had developed to this point, it had already exceeded their imagination. Now, even the weakest ones were invincible kings taking action. There were even saint corpses fighting. Terrifying energy erupted between heaven and earth. Most of it was the power of saint fragments. Although the holy sons and holy daughters were also young geniuses, they could not interfere at all. Not to mention them, even those elders were unable to interfere. It was very dangerous for them to stay here. They might as well leave as soon as possible. One figure after another quickly retreated. Brother Lin, we're leaving. We'll meet again if fate wills it. Wu Hua, Yu Wu Dao, and the others bid farewell. Lin Xian also waved at them. Lin Xian, Murong Qingqing, and Xin Jingqiu were also reluctant to part. Lin Xian said telepathically, "Don't worry. I'll look for you after this matter blows over." When the 2 of them heard this, they smiled. They followed their respective elders and quickly left. Lin Xian also gathered Xingtian, Elder Li, Peacock, and the others. They opened the teleportation gate and directly returned to Starry Hall. Damn it! When the people of 5 Elements Palace, Thousand Thunder's sacred ground, and Tai Dynasty saw Lin Xian retreat, they all roared like crazy. This was the best chance to kill the other party, but they did not expect him to escape. Moreover, what made them even angrier was that they were now at a disadvantage. Immortal Palace had sent out 6 invincible kings. It could be said that they were suppressing one side. Moreover, the other side's foundation was very strong, and they had endless trump cards in their hands. In an instant, 5 Elements Palace and Tai Dynasty were forced to retreat. Whoosh! They were finally back. The world spun, and after endless darkness, Lin Xian and the others returned to the Starry Hall. It was very quiet and peaceful here, and it had nothing to do with the battle outside. Hall Master, you're back. When the martial artists saw Lin Xian and the others return, they quickly went up. From now on, collect information from the outside at all times, especially information about the battle. Also, report to me every day about the whereabouts of the Yuhua Immortal Robe. Lin Xian instructed. The martial artists under him quickly responded. Lin Xian turned to look at Peacock and the others again. You've worked hard, go back and rest. When you're well rested, go and receive your corresponding rewards. Yes, thank you, Hall Master. Peacock and the others were overjoyed. The martial artists of Immortal Palace were even more curious. Later, he waved his hand and dismissed them. He said to Xing Tian, Elderly, and the others again, the elders should also go and rest. Next, Lin Xian returned to Starry Hall. After returning, the Crimson Dragon also walked out of the black earth. His body swayed as he ate. Damn, those invincible kings were too despicable. Although they were separated by the black earth, it was still very painful. Lin Xian directly threw a storage room to the Crimson Dragon. From now on, I'm going to go into seclusion. You'd better go into seclusion to break through. Lin Xian's eyes showed a hint of seriousness. Although he was now a mid-7 star, it was not enough to face a powerless king. He had to quickly break through and be able to compete with an invincible king as soon as possible, because he felt that it was getting more and more dangerous. Next, Lin Xian began to go into seclusion. This time, after experiencing so many battles, he had countless insights in his heart. Moreover, the harvest this time was too rich. With so many natural treasures, it was enough for him to continuously absorb. This time, Lin Xian went into seclusion for a year. During this year, Lin Xian had been absorbing the energy of those natural treasures and did not come out at all. The Crimson Dragon came out once in the middle, but then he also went into seclusion. Peacock, Hui Dao, Ghostly, and the others, after recuperating, went to the treasury to receive their respective rewards. This time, their rewards were very rich, several times more than before. This made them very happy. Then, these people also went into seclusion. Immortal Palace's intelligence system had been collecting information from the outside world. According to Lin Xian's instructions, intelligence was sent every day. Chapter 2589. However, Lin Xian was still in seclusion, so they couldn't send the news in. They could only leave it outside the hall. They would wait for Lin Xian to come out of seclusion before watching. In fact, there was no need for them to investigate. The entire Middle Ground was talking about this matter. Not only Middle Ground, but Eastern Wilderness, Western Desert, Northern Plains, Southern Border, and the 5 continents of the world were all talking about this matter. That was because what had happened this time was simply too shocking. How many thousands of years had it been since so many invincible kings participated in the battle? It was a truly earth-shattering battle. Countless territories sank, seas of blood floated, and ghosts wailed and wolves howled. In fact, the corpses of 2 saints were also attacking. Once the saints' nomological powers were unleashed, it created a new world. Wherever it passed, everything was destroyed. It could be said to be a catastrophe. Countless territories and cities were reduced to ashes in this battle. This battle had been going on for a year. The battle was not over yet. Every day, there would be people injured and leave, and new powerhouses would join the battle. It continued. In the blink of an eye, another half a year passed. In this half a year, the battle became even more intense. Many living fossils even came out of seclusion to fight for it. It couldn't be helped. The Yuhua immortal robe was too mysterious. It was rumored that it could bring the dead back to life, and it seemed to have been proven. A saint who had been dead for tens of thousands of years was actually breathing and could still attack. This undoubtedly proved the mystery of the Yuhua immortal robe. If these living fossils could obtain it, they might really be able to live forever. Among the endless mountains, the mountain peaks stood tall like giant swords that pierced into the clouds. On the highest mountain peak, a group of people appeared there. Their expressions were cold, and their auras were powerful. Even a glance could penetrate the void. There was a man wearing golden armor, standing on the peak of the mountain with his hands behind his back. He looked into the distance, his eyes flickering. No one knew what he was thinking. Behind him stood dozens of figures. They were old and young, but without exception, their auras were all very powerful. At this moment, they stood respectfully behind the golden-armored man, as if waiting. At this moment, a living fossil spoke. "Warlord, don't wait any longer. The Yuhua immortal robe is extremely rare. We must snatch it. Perhaps with it, our war race can truly appear on the ground again." War race. This group of people were actually from the war race. As for the middle-aged man before them, he was the war clan's current clan chief. Hearing the words Yuhua immortal robe, the battle master's eyes lit up. He naturally wanted to possess such a peerless treasure. After pondering for a moment, the battle master spoke in a low voice. "This time, I will personally take action." "What? Battle Lord, are you going to personally take action?" The elders behind him were shocked beyond words. It had been many years since the battle master had made a move. Who would have thought that he would make a move himself this time? However, on second thought, it did make sense. The Yuhua immortal robe was such a mystical item that even their battle masters would be envious of it. Among them, quite a few elders laughed. With a war master personally taking action, this was definitely an easy task. The war master nodded. Then his gaze turned unusually cold. "What about Zhanji? Was she killed?" The faces of the elders behind him also darkened. Zhanji was a genius of their war clan. She possessed an atavistic bloodline. It could be said that she was someone they nurtured with everything they had. However, he was actually killed by someone. His body and soul were destroyed, and not even a trace of his soul escaped. This drove them mad. They swore that no matter who it was, they would not forgive anyone who dared to kill the war concubine. When the war concubine was killed, many people saw it. That was why, after asking around a bit, these people from the war clan knew who the murderer was. However, when they obtained the murderer, these people could no longer remain calm. They were all so angry that they almost vomited blood. Lin Xian, it was Lin Xian again. They were definitely not unfamiliar with this name. It was because this fella not only killed the war concubine, but also their golden lion king before. Their two heavenly geniuses were both killed by the other party. How could they endure this? Bring that person back. Regardless of whether he is some immortal palace master or something else, he has to be brought back. I want him to kneel before my war clan and receive the world's cruelest punishment. The battle master's voice was exceptionally cold. "Yes, battle master, do not worry. We will do it right away." Behind him, those elders respectfully agreed. Among them, a man even knelt on one knee in midair. "Battle master, do not worry. I will definitely personally bring that brat back." This man was precisely Zhang Wuhen. Previously, he had tried to kill Lin Xian once, but the other party escaped. He did not expect that the other party would kill one of their war clan's heavenly geniuses. This time, he would definitely not let the other party go. The battle master nodded. This time, there could not be any mishaps. Therefore, apart from Wuhan, the other three should also take action. The four of you war kings should take action together and bring that brat back. Hearing this, everyone was shocked. The four war kings were the four most powerful people in their war clan. Any one of them would be able to dominate a region in the outside world. At this moment, the four of them were taking action just to capture a brat. They did not dare believe it. Thinking about it, the battle master was furious to the extreme. However, when they thought about it, they also gnashed their teeth, wishing that they could tear the other party into pieces. Yes, Zhan Wuhin respectfully agreed. Beside him, 3 figures also walked out. None of their auras were weaker than his. They were the 4 war kings. The people of the war clan were relieved. With the 4 war kings taking action, the other party would definitely not be able to escape. On the other side, in the stellar hall, at the entrance of the hall, scrolls were piled up one after another. Each scroll represented a new piece of news from the outside world. At this moment, they had already piled up like a mountain. On this day, there was finally a change in the stellar hall. A terrifying power erupted like a flash flood. Above the stellar hall, a huge vortex appeared. Countless amounts of spiritual energy instantly surged from the vortex into the stellar hall. This scene naturally attracted the attention of others. Many people soared into the air and looked into the distance. It was the stellar hall. Could it be that the palace master was breaking through? That must be it. Heavens, this was too heaven-defying, right? How long had it been since the palace master broke through? Now he was breaking through? What do you know? The palace master's harvest this time was extremely bountiful. There were so many heavenly treasures, and the palace master's shocking talent. Thinking about it, he would definitely be able to break through. Many immortal palace martial artists became excited, especially the person who entered the ancient tomb with Lin Xian. He was extremely excited. That was because, after returning from the ancient tomb, they had already treated Lin Xian as their idol. There was no helping it. The glory that Lin Xian displayed in the ancient tomb was too shocking. Even the people of the Peacock clan were deeply impressed. In the sky, the huge vortex lasted for about half a day. The surging power became stronger and stronger. At the 9th time, it reached a peak. Then a sword light tore through the clouds and cut through the sky. Chapter 2590. Immediately after, the energy that filled the sky receded like the tide. The terrifying sword's shadow also slowly dissipated. The door of the starry hall opened again. A figure walked out of the cave. He was young, flamboyant, and his eyes were as deep as the stars. He was dressed in a red robe that was burning like a raging fire. This figure was naturally Lin Xian. At this moment, he had a smile on his face. After a year and a half of seclusion, coupled with countless natural treasures, he had finally made a breakthrough. At this moment, he had reached the late 7-star king realm. Compared to before, his strength had changed drastically. Now, if he were to face a genius like the Zhanji who had the atavistic bloodline, it would probably not be that difficult to kill her. He could easily kill the other party. This was because his strength had increased greatly after advancing a level. More importantly, the great dragon sword soul had awakened even further. His combat strength had skyrocketed. Ordinary saints were no match for him at all. Whether the top ones could fight him or not depended on whether they had made a breakthrough in the past year and a half. If they had made a breakthrough and kept up with his progress, then they could naturally fight him. However, if they did not, then they might not be Lin Xian's match. In a magnificent hall of the Yi family, Yi Wudao opened his eyes. The golden light on his body was very dazzling, and a hazy golden shadow appeared in front of him. He had finally reached the late 7-star realm. Yi Wudao walked out of the hall. As soon as he appeared, his body bloomed with brilliant light, attracting the members of the Yi family. "Wudao, you've broken through." The elders of the Yi family were very happy. Leaf Dao Denier nodded, and a faint smile appeared on his face. His current strength had undergone an earth-shattering change compared to before. Furthermore, The power of his bloodline had become even more solid. The current him was much stronger than before. He looked up at the sky, his eyes flickering. He wondered if those people had made a breakthrough. The people he was talking about were naturally Lin Xian, the Alcade Saint, Gu Santong, the Prince of the Great Xia, and the others. In the endless starry sky of the Gu family, a figure appeared. His face was very pale, as if he was ill. However, his eyes were incomparably deep. This person was Gu Santong. After a year and a half of cultivation, he had also broken through. He was not the only one. Most of the others had broken through as well. That was because those who came back alive from this trip to the ancient tomb were all full of rewards. The harvest was very bountiful. This was especially true for top geniuses like Yi Wu Dao and Gu Santong. Among them, the prince of the great Xia dynasty, Wu Hua, Murong Qingcheng, Xin Jingqiu, and the others had all broken through to the next level. Demon Imperial Palace. Hua Tiandu had also broken through. Yan Ruyu's aura had become even more mysterious. No one knew whether or not Yan Ryu had broken through. However, when the people of the Demon Imperial Palace saw Yan Ryu, they couldn't help but want to kneel down and worship her. In the past, they also had such feelings, but they were not as strong. But this time, they felt that they really couldn't control themselves and wanted to kneel down. It was too terrifying. These experts from the demon Lord Hall trembled violently. They stared at Yan Ryu with respect. Even Hua Tiandu's expression became somewhat grave. He also felt a pressure coming from his bloodline. He couldn't help but be shocked. On the other side, Yin-Yang sect. The Yin-Yang saint walked out of a 10,000-foot tall pagoda. His body exuded Yin-Yang qi, like a black and white sun shining in the sky. As soon as he appeared, he looked up to the sky and laughed ferociously. I broke through. I finally broke through. In the past 1.5 years, he had finally broken through to the late-stage 7-star king realm. His strength was many times stronger than before. Lin Xian, damn brat. This time I must kill you. After breaking through, the first thing that came to the Yin-Yang saint's mind was revenge. Previously, he had been defeated and almost killed by Lin Xian. He couldn't accept it. Therefore, after breaking through this time, he must find Lin Xian for revenge. I'll go to the cave abode in the sacred ground and take a few treasures. Then I'll kill that brat. The Yin-Yang saint's figure flashed and disappeared into the sky. Eastern wilderness, among the endless mountains. Cranes flew in the sky. This was the Taishan sacred ground. The Taishan sacred ground was also a peerless sacred ground in the eastern wilderness. At this moment, a figure sat cross-legged on the highest peak of the 100 peaks in the Taishan sacred ground. This person's black hair fluttered in the wind, and he wore a blue robe. He sat there like an immortal, giving off an indescribable aura. This person was the Taishan saint of the Taishan sacred ground. Whoosh! At this moment, a blurry light appeared in the sky. It was like a celestial palace floating on the peak of the mountain. Buzz! The Taishan saint flipped his palm and took out a guqin. He started to play it gently. The sound of the guqin jumped and shook the void. Soon, a solemn voice came from the celestial palace. You have broken through. This is the 6 pulses divine melody. You have reached such a level. Could it be that you have broken through to become an 8-star king? The voice in the celestial palace was extremely shocked. It even trembled slightly. Buzz! The sound of the guqin stopped, and the Taishan saint stood up slowly. You should keep this to yourself. I don't want anyone else to know. Speaking of this, a cold light appeared in his eyes. The surrounding space froze instantly. The celestial palace in the sky also started to tremble violently. In just an instant, this murderous aura disappeared without a trace. Don't worry, I know. After all, we are on the same side. The voice in the celestial palace said, I have to thank you for helping me become the saint of the 9 firmament. It's good that you know. The Taishan saint said indifferently. If someone else was here, they would be extremely shocked. This mysterious palace actually belonged to the 9 firmament, sacred ground. The person inside should be the new saint of the 9 firmament. The previous saint of the 9 firmament had been killed even though he had the celestial palace. It was unbelievable. They had even suspected that it was Lin Xian who had done it. However, they did not know that there was a mole in the 9 firmament, sacred ground. A candidate saint had even killed the saint of the 9 firmament together with the Taishan saint. Perhaps no one had expected such a scene to occur. Brother Yin, you have already broken through to become an 8-star king. I am afraid that no one in the younger generation is your match. The new saint of the 9 firmament said with a smile. The Taishan saint waved his hand and kept the guqin. He stood with his hands behind his back and looked at the clouds. He sighed. You have underestimated those people. Do you think that I am the only one who has broken through to become an 8-star king? What? Hearing this, the person in the celestial palace was stunned. Then he said, This is impossible. I have already asked around. Even Yi Wu Dao Gu Santong and the others have only broken through to the late-stage 8-star king. The Yi family and the Gu family were both clans of the ancients. Their bloodlines were so terrifying, but none of them had broken through to become an 8-star king. Who else could break through to become an 8-star king? Chapter 2591. The great mystic saint shook his head. It seems that you really have just become a saint and don't understand it at all. At this point, the suppression of one's cultivation was of great use. However, you mustn't underestimate the Yi and Gu families. Once their bloodline power erupts, the power is far beyond your imagination. Therefore, even though I've broken through to become an 8-star king, I still don't have full confidence against someone like Yi Wu Dao. In fact, 50% confidence is already very good. What? Is Yi Wu Dao so powerful? That person was shocked. He didn't expect that the great mystic saint, who was a realm higher than the other party, would only have a 50% chance of winning. This was too much of a shock to his knowledge. Moreover, it's not just Yi Wu Dao who has to be careful. I think there should be someone who has also become an 8-star king. Who is it? The people in the immortal palace were very curious. The great mystic saint's eyes gradually became focused, like 2 divine swords piercing through the void. He said in a deep voice, Alcade Saint. Alcade Saint. You mean the Alcade Saint has also become an 8-star king? The figure in the immortal palace exclaimed in disbelief. The Taishan saint said in a deep voice, Although I have not confirmed it, according to my guess, the possibility should be above 80%. More than an 80% chance. The people in the immortal palace fell silent. Since the other party had said so, then there was a high chance that the Alcade saint had already broken through to the 8-star king realm. Thinking of this, he fell silent. He was still only a mid-7-star. He was far behind these people. After pondering for a long time, he asked again, What about that Lin Xian? What do you think of him? According to my guess, he should have also broken through. Because his harvest this time is too rich, but it's unlikely for him to break through to the 8-star king realm. Because time is too short, he should also be a late-stage 7-star king. The Taishan Saint's son said in a low voice. However, he could not be underestimated. His sword technique is very strange. Although he doesn't have bloodline power, I have a feeling that he has a supreme treasure in his body. But what exactly is it? I still don't understand. Damn it, as long as this guy is alive, he will always be a threat. The person in the immortal palace had a worried look. I've just become the 9 firmament saint. With the relationship between our 9 firmament sacred ground and the other party, there will definitely be a war. At that time, I will have no choice but to stand up for him. However, I'm no match for him right now. Don't worry, you don't need to do anything. He killed 2 of the war race's geniuses. so the war race won't let him go. Also, I don't think the Yin-Yang sect will let him go either. It had to be said that he had provoked too many forces. Indeed, the war race definitely wouldn't let him go. The new saint of the 9 firmaments sneered. As long as the war race took action, he could sit back and relax. On the other side, Starry Hall. After Lin Xian came out, he began to look at the mountain of information at the door. After his strength had increased, his soul power had also increased by a level. Now his soul power was very close to invincible king level. Not only that, but his combat power was also very close. If he attacked with his full strength, killing a late-stage 8-star king was not a problem for him. With a thought, Lin Xian understood all the information. Then he frowned. A year and a half had passed, yet the war was still going on. Not only had it not weakened, it had instead become more and more intense. The various living fossils, elders, and even the sect master had taken action, and the corpses of the 2 saints were becoming more and more terrifying. Not only did their energy not weaken, but it also recovered faster. In fact, they had even sucked dozens of Earth's spirit veins dry. This shocked everyone. Lin Xian also narrowed his eyes. If these 2 saints were really resurrected, they would probably be in danger. No matter how many invincible kings there were, they probably wouldn't be enough. Unless the saints of the other sacred grounds took action, they might be able to subdue them. He wondered how the 6 great protectors were doing. Lin Xian's eyes flickered. The 6 great protectors of the Immortal Palace had also gone to search for the Yuhua Immortal Robe. Even the old palace master had taken action. Forget it. Let's not think about this. Lin Xian shook his head. These were too far away for him. He had just broken through and consumed half of the resources in his hands. He didn't absorb the rest immediately because he had just broken through, and it was not suitable for him to go into seclusion. He was going to go out for a walk and cultivate the realm he had just entered. However, before he went out, he still had one more thing to do. He called out the Crimson Dragon. Previously, there were 2 things in the bronze treasure box. One was the jade seal that opened the coffin of the saint, and the other was a piece of beast skin. At that time, it was snatched by the Crimson Dragon. Lin Xian and the others didn't have time to watch the various battles and life-and-death situations. After returning, he immediately went into seclusion. Therefore, this thing had always been in his hands, and he hadn't seen it yet. Now that he had time, he called out the Crimson Dragon, and the 2 of them prepared to study it together. The Crimson Dragon also came out of seclusion. He had also broken through to the late-stage 7-star king realm. His cultivation was the same as Lin Xian's, and his strength was about the same. This surprised the Crimson Dragon. His current strength was about the same as when he was at his peak. Although he was still a little short, he thought that he would be able to fully recover soon. At that time, he would be able to command the wind and clouds. Kid, why did you call Ben Huang here? Do you want to exchange a few blows? Having just broken through, the Crimson Dragon was very excited. He really wanted to find someone to fight. Therefore, he stared at Lin Xian. Lin Xian waved his hand. Stop fooling around. I have something serious to talk to you about. As he said that, he took out the beast skin. Do you still remember this thing? Do you mean the treasure in the bronze treasure box? How could I not remember? It was Ben Huang who snatched it. The Crimson Dragon had a smug look on his face. Then he waved his dragon claws and grabbed it again. Then he opened it. He wanted to let Ben Huang see what kind of treasure was inside. Do you think it's a kind of saint's cultivation method? The saint's cultivation method was very terrifying. It had already surpassed the heaven-level cultivation method. If they could get it, it would be very helpful to improve their strength. However, after opening it, the 2 of them frowned. There was indeed something on it. There were strange runes, but they didn't recognize them. Damn it! Why were these runes very similar to the runes on the walls of the saint's ancient tomb? This should be an extremely ancient language. We can't understand it at all now. The Crimson Dragon sighed. He could recognize the ancient language. However, this was not an ancient language. This was even more complicated than the ancient language. Damn it, what era was this language from? Ancient? Ancient? He didn't know. In fact, he even suspected that it was an immortal pattern. Kid, call the elders of the immortal palace over and see if they know. The Crimson Dragon said. Chapter 2592. The origin of Immortal Palace was mysterious and had a long history. Perhaps someone inside would recognize it. Thus, Lin Xian called for some of the Immortal Palace's elders to come over and see if they could recognize those characters. Those elders also frowned and shook their heads. They didn't recognize it. In fact, a few living fossils were also at a loss. They exclaimed, this language was too ancient, far beyond their understanding. The 6 great protectors weren't here. Perhaps they knew something. An elder said. However, the living fossil elder shook his head. The 6 great protectors probably didn't know. Perhaps only the old temple master knew. However, because of the Yuhua immortal robe, the old temple master had already left Immortal Palace and wasn't here for the time being. Temple master, do you want to wait for the old temple master to come back and show it to him? All right, it seems like that's the only way. Lin Xian nodded. He wasn't in a hurry. Anyway, the thing was in his hands. He would be able to crack it sooner or later. He put away the beast skin. Then the Crimson Dragon discussed and decided to go out for a walk to see if there were any changes outside. Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon left Immortal Palace and headed outside. The 2 of them first went to the place where the ancient tomb was located. When they arrived, there was already no one there. Originally, they thought that many people would go in to explore the ancient tomb. However, that wasn't the case. The entire ancient tomb had completely sunk and was sealed again. Without a large number of formation masters, it was impossible to break it open continuously. Therefore, those ordinary warriors couldn't enter at all. As time passed, there weren't many people here. Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon walked around and found that there was nothing around. The 2 of them looked at each other and said, let's go. The 2 of them flashed and flew into the distance. However, not long after, Lin Xian frowned. His soul power was now infinitely close to that of an invincible king. Therefore, the range of his detection was very wide. He found that there were many auras flying towards him from afar. Among them, there were the power of the 5 elements, the power of the 9 heavens, and the power of yin and yang that he was very familiar with. Come to think of it, they should be people from these sections. He didn't expect them to be guarding here. Do you want to make a move? The Crimson Dragon said. Lin Xian shook his head. They were just a bunch of trash, not worth his time. Indeed, his eyesight had improved a lot compared to before, and he already looked down on those disciples of the Holy Lands. That's true. The Crimson Dragon swung its tail, and the 2 sped up, flying into the distance. With their speed, they quickly shook off those Holy Lands disciples. However, after flying for a while, Lin Xian frowned again. This was because he discovered that there was another force following closely behind. Moreover, the distance between them was getting closer and closer. Lin Xian frowned. On the side, the Crimson Dragon asked, Kid, what's wrong? Lin Xian said, there were still people chasing after them. There was someone else. The Crimson Dragon snorted coldly. Who was so reckless? Come, come, come. Ben Huang wants to fight 300 rounds with him. Let's go and find a safe place. Let's see who dares to follow us. The 2 of them flashed and flew into the distance. Finally, they found a place that was more suitable for fighting, and the 2 of them stopped. They didn't continue flying. Behind them, that aura suddenly erupted and approached rapidly. Soon, a figure appeared in front of them. Seeing this figure, the 2 of them frowned. Especially Lin Xian. A cold, murderous intent appeared in his eyes. Zhan Wuhan, it was actually him. Lin Xian had a very deep impression of this person. last time he fought with him. At that time, he was only an early-stage 7-star king, and the other party was a mid-stage 8-star powerhouse. In that battle, he used many trump cards and even unlocked the Saint's hand bone. However, the other party was still able to block it. If not for Xiaojio, he would really be in danger. But now, that might not be the case. In a short 3 years, she had reached the late-stage 7-star king level. Now he could even kill late-stage 8-star powerhouses. Therefore, when he met Zhang Wuhan again, he wasn't nervous at all. Instead, he was a little excited. He was looking forward to it. He wanted to kill this person with his own hands. It was actually him. It was someone from the war tribe again. Damned war tribe. They were really haunting him. The Crimson Dragon snorted coldly. He realized that the other party had come alone. This guy from the war tribe was really arrogant. He actually came alone. Oh no, there was also a big bird. He looked ahead. Under Zhang Wuhan's feet, there was a golden rock. It spread its wings and flew quickly. The golden rock spread its wings, which were thousands of meters long. It was like a huge golden mountain flying in the sky. Although it was big, its speed was very fast, like lightning. In an instant, it brought Zhang Wuhan to Lin Xian's vicinity. "Kid, it's really you." Zhang Wuhan stood on the golden rock. He looked into the distance and sneered. The 4 war monarchs of the war tribe were searching from the east, west, south, and north. This time, they definitely wouldn't let the other party go. Zhang Wuhan didn't expect that he would be so lucky to meet the other party. Therefore, he didn't hesitate and directly chased over. He didn't immediately send a message to the other 3 war monarchs, because he felt that with his strength, it was easy to kill the other party. Because he had already investigated clearly. Immortal Palace's 6 protectors had gone to search for the Yuhua immortal robe. Immortal Palace's old palace master, Xiao, also went. This time, no one would come to save the other party. He wanted to personally capture the other party and bring him back. He wanted to let the other party know the consequences of going against the war tribe. "Kid, I'll give you a chance. Kneel down and accept your death. Your trump card is useless against me. You have a saint's fragment, but so do I." Zhang Wuhan stood with his hands behind his back, standing on the golden rock. He was like a war god, unstoppable. He looked ahead disdainfully, not putting Lin Xian in his eyes at all. This was because he had already seen Lin Xian's trump card last time. He could completely deal with it. Last time, if not for Xiaojio, he would have killed the other party long ago. Kneel down and accept your death? You really think highly of yourself. Lin Xian snorted coldly. The current me is no longer the strength of 3 years ago. This time, the one who will be killed will be you. His body emitted a piercingly cold sword intent. The one who will be killed will be me? Hearing this, Zhang Wuhan sneered disdainfully. "Kid, you're dreaming. I know that you had some fortuitous encounters in the saint's tomb. But do you think that a short 3 years can make up for the distance between us? You're too naive. I'll let you know how big the gap is between us. Not to mention 3 years. Even if it's 300 years, you won't be my match." Zhang Wuhan snorted coldly, his body also emitting a terrifying aura. He didn't think that the other party could defeat him. Even with the snake beside him, they were still not his match. This was because the golden-winged rock under his feet wasn't just a mount, it was also an extremely terrifying demon king. A peerless demon king. Chapter 2593. 1. As expected, the golden rock flapped its wings, forming a terrifying golden storm. A terrifying power swept out from its body. Zhang Wuhan also exuded a terrifying aura. A golden spear appeared in his hand, emitting a dazzling light. "Kill!" With a roar, the spear pierced out like a golden dragon. The golden rock under his feet also cooperated with him and charged forward. In an instant, Lin Xian was completely enveloped. Light tore through the clouds, and a terrifying power pierced through the void. Ruzalong, one for each. Lin Xian's sword radiance bloomed. The dragon's sword realm enveloped him, blocking the terrifying power. And Hong, who was at the side, also laughed. "All right, I'll roast this golden rock." As he said that, he charged forward. A dragon claw covered the sky and pressed down from the sky. This time, the dragon claw was filled with blood chi. It was as if it could split the sky and earth apart. Humph! Zhan Wuhin's body swayed. He left the golden rock and flew towards Lin Xian. He did not care about the crimson dragon. He believed that his golden rock could definitely kill it. He only needed to capture the kid in front of him. Wang, roar! The golden rock roared. Its golden wings were like heavenly blades. They shone brightly and went against the crimson dragon's dragon claw. The collision of the two was earth-shattering. The two beasts fought. On the other side, Lin Xian and Zhan Wuhin were also fighting. The ancient dragon abyss sword and the golden battle spear collided. Light danced in the sky, and the void was completely pierced through. Countless sword radiances surrounded them. Seeing that his opponent could block his attack, Zhan Wuhin snorted. "Kid, your strength has indeed increased. Is this what gives you the right to be so arrogant? You're too naive. I haven't even used my full strength." At this point, the golden radiance in his hand grew stronger. An even more terrifying power was released. "Is that so? I haven't used my full strength either." Lin Xian snorted as well. The sword aura on his body shone brighter. Boom! With a dragon's roar, the great dragon sword spirit completely erupted. The terrifying sword light tore through the 9 heavens and 10 earths. The moment this sword chi appeared, Zhan Wuhin's pupils constricted. His expression changed. This sword chi was so powerful. Damn it! How could this brat's strength become so strong? He was simply too shocked because the current Lin Xian was several times stronger than the one he had seen 3 years ago. This was something he didn't dare to imagine. It should be known that every time one reached the level of Almighty or Peerless Almighty, it would take hundreds of years. He might not even succeed. Yet, in the short span of 3 years, the other party had actually improved so much. How did this kid do it? Zhan Wuhin gritted his teeth. So what if you've become stronger? I will not be defeated. He had complete confidence in himself. His cultivation was higher than the other parties, and in terms of talent and bloodline, he was superior to the other party. He did not believe that the other party could surpass his level and defeat him. "Kill!" Zhan Wuhin roared angrily. Countless rays of light appeared on his body and turned into a battle map. This was the power of his bloodline. He had activated it in an instant, and a terrifying power surged out continuously. It contained a mysterious power. Buzz! The bloodline battle map floated out of Zhan Wuhin's body and rolled in the sky. It was as if a blood-red world had descended into the human world. There were many mysterious and terrifying runes on it. They flickered in the sky and pressed down on Lin Xian. 5 elements sword, 5 elements as one. Lin Xian waved his sword, and the 5 elements sword flew out in the sky and intertwined, forming a terrifying 5 elements sword light. It slashed towards the sky. The 5 elements sword was extremely terrifying. In addition to the power of Lin Xian's great dragon sword spirit, it was truly capable of slaying gods and Buddhas. In an instant, it collided with the terrifying bloodline battle map. The collision of the two was earth-shattering. At the same time, Lin Xian waved his left hand and took out the flower protector. He shook it gently, and a corner of the seal was lifted. A terrifying demonic sound pierced through the air. The sound was too terrifying. Not only could it attack a martial artist's body, but it could also injure their soul. Buzz! Zhan Wuhin's body trembled, and a look of shock appeared in his eyes. The blood in his body was boiling, and he felt as if his body was about to explode. Damn it, what is this thing? He looked at the octagonal bell in the sky, and in the next moment he exclaimed, "Get lost!" With a roar, the bloodline power in his body quickly bloomed, forming a blood-red pagoda that enveloped his body. However, the flower protector was refined by a sage, and it was a peerless weapon. Although it had only been lifted a little, it was not that easy to resist. As expected, although Zhan Wuhen had used the bloodline pagoda, it was still difficult for him to resist it. Buzz! The 5 seals on the ancient Dragon Abyss sword were lifted, and its power suddenly skyrocketed. The terrifying ancient Dragon Abyss sword transformed into a giant sword that was hundreds of feet long and fell from the sky. Not good. Zhan Wuhen's pupils constricted, and he hurriedly waved his golden spear in front of him. With a clang, the golden spear kept trembling, and Zhan Wuhen's arm went numb. His arm was broken. His entire body was pushed back continuously, shattering the void. Bam! Bam! He only stopped after retreating a few thousand miles. At this moment he was in a sorry state, and his hair was disheveled. His arms had exploded, and blood dyed his armor red. Crack! 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 His bloodline power surged, and his arms grew back. Zhan Wuhen roared at the sky. Ah! Damn thief! I'm going to kill you. He swore that he would kill Lin Fan and only bring his soul back. He was simply too furious. Thinking back, he had vowed solemnly that the other party would definitely not be a match for him. But now, in an instant, he was severely injured and Lin Fan was unharmed. He could not believe it, and he could not accept it. Kid, you've completely angered me. I'll let you see my true power. Zhan Wuhen's black hair danced wildly, and his eyes were as sharp as blades. He quickly formed hand seals, and his power kept rolling. Rumble! The sky split open, and dark clouds covered the surroundings. An endless sea of blood surged. Buzz! A blood-red steel fell from the sky. This blood-red steel was thousands of feet tall. It was covered with mysterious runes, and it emitted a monstrous aura. The moment it appeared, the sky within a few million miles was completely dyed red. Countless seas of blood floated in the sky, and it even rained blood. The ground was instantly dyed red. You're just an ant. How can you fight against the war tribe? Now go to hell for me. Zhan Wuhen stood in the sky, looking down like a demon king. He waved his hand, and the blood-red steel in the sky quickly pressed down. Wherever it passed, the void shattered. Nothing could stop it. Lin Xian's pupils constricted. This blood-red steel was too much of a threat to him. Moreover, the runes on it rotated, making him feel like his body was being sealed. This blood-red steel had a suppressive effect. The space around him froze, and he could not move at all. He even felt that his blood and soul were about to be suppressed. Buzz! 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 Sword Qi rushed out of his body, rushing in all directions. He wanted to break through space and escape this place. However, the surrounding sea of blood wrapped tightly around the sword lights, swallowing them. Seeing this, Zhan Wuhen laughed. Chapter 2594. Brat, don't waste your energy struggling. This blood-colored sky steel is not something you can imagine. You can't fight it. Indeed, the blood-colored steel was his bloodline ability. It was extremely terrifying. It could even kill someone with a higher cultivation level than him, not to mention a kid with a lower cultivation level than him. The blood-colored steel suppressed everything and enveloped Lin Xian. You want to suppress me with a mere steel? What a joke! Lin Xian snorted coldly. The great dragon sword soul in his body circulated crazily. Chaotic sky destroyer sword, sky shattering. With a slash of the sword, the sky collapsed and the earth cracked. The sword slashed at the blood-colored steel, resulting in a shocking collision. The blood-colored steel stopped descending. It was blocked by the long sword. Not only that, but a crack appeared on the steel and spread in all directions. More and more cracks appeared. With a final boom, the blood-colored steel exploded. What other tricks do you have? Use them all. Lin Xian pointed his sword at the sky. Zhan Wuhan's pupils constricted. He did not expect his blood-colored steel to be broken just like that. He could not believe it. Damn it. He quickly dodged because Lin Xian once again brandished his sword and charged over. With a poochie sound, the long sword struck his armor, producing a clanking sound. His armor was cut open. Blood even flowed out from his shoulder. Whoosh! Blood dyed the sky red. If someone was here, they would definitely scream. That was because that sword strike was truly too terrifying. Lin Xian was too terrifying. He could actually hurt Zhan Wuhan. Zhan Wuhan was also shocked. He never expected to be hurt by his opponent. Ah! He roared angrily. Get lost! The terrifying fist seemed to have turned into a starry sky as it charged toward Lin Xian. Bang! The ancient dragon abyss sword was sent flying. Bang! 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 Lin Xian also kept retreating. The blood in his body was boiling. He had to admit that Zhan Wuhan was very powerful. He was definitely a peerless battle monarch. Even a late-stage 8-star monarch would not be able to suppress him. However, Lin Xian was fearless. No matter how strong his opponent was, he could kill him today. He would not let his opponent leave. Kill! With a furious roar, Lin Xian's long sword soared through the air. The shadow of a dragon appeared beneath his feet, roaring in the void. The terrifying dragon-shaped sword Qi slashed forward towards Zhan Wuhan. Wang! Bloodline power appeared on Zhan Wuhan's body. The blood-red battle map wrapped around his body. He held the golden spear in his hand and swung it wildly. Boom! Boom! The two of them continuously clashed, causing the heavens to collapse and the earth to split. The two of them used all of their strength, killing until the heavens and earth lost their color. Ah! Roar! After the two of them exchanged 300 moves, a miserable shriek suddenly rang out. Immediately after, intense demonic aura surged. Noticing this change, Traceless War's expression changed. Not good. He turned to look into the distance. The golden-winged Great Peng's body was cut in half. Its body, which was nearly 1,000 meters long, split open. Blood turned into a sea of blood that surged in the sky. Large amounts of feathers fell, piercing through the void. Damn it, how is this possible? Wuhan Zhan was stunned. His golden-winged rock was a peerless demon king. It was also a heaven and earth variant. It was extremely terrifying. Ordinary almighties would not be able to hurt him. But now he was actually killed by someone. Damn it, what the hell was that snake? He realized that everything related to Lin Xian was so strange. The golden-winged Great Peng wailed. Its broken body wanted to recover. However, the Crimson Dragon would not give it a chance. He opened his mouth and spat out flames that covered the broken body. The golden-winged Great Peng screamed. Its body emitted the fragrance of roasted meat. The Crimson Dragon threw its head back and laughed. Ha ha! Ben Huang had not eaten roasted golden peng in a long time. Today he would have a good meal. Damn snake, go to hell for me. Wuhan Zhan was furious. He threw a punch. That was his mount. How could he allow it to be killed? However, his fist was blocked halfway. Lin Xian's sword slashed through the void. Your opponent is me. Damn it! Wuhan Zhan roared. A blood-red light bloomed on his body. The blood-red battle map floated out again. He grabbed it in his hand as if it was holding a world. He threw it forward. Boom! 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 The two collided. The scene was too terrifying. The blood-red world seemed to exist as it shattered the void. It completely enveloped Lin Xian. It wanted to refine Lin Xian into a pool of blood. Lin Xian held the long sword in his hand and transformed into a giant dragon. He soared into the sky and collided with the blood-red world. Boom! 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 Suddenly, the blood-red world collapsed. Ah! Wu Hinjan roared angrily. His entire body merged into the blood-red battle map. His body turned into a battle map. The battle map stabilized completely. Not only that, but its power also increased exponentially. Go to hell, brat. At this moment, Wu Hinjan activated his bloodline power to the extreme. Lin Xian also roared. He let out an earth-shattering dragon roar. He merged with the great dragon sword soul, and their huge bodies collided with each other nonstop. Not only that, he also released terrifying sword chi. The entire world was shattering. Boom! The blood-red world crashed into Lin Xian. He vomited blood and was sent flying. However, Lin Xian's sword chi hit the blood-red battle map. Wu Hinjan also vomited blood. His body had been pierced through. 3 terrifying sword chis pierced through his body, nailing him in the air. Ah! Wu Hinjan screamed. He let out a sizzling sound as he refined the blood-red sword chi. On the other side, Lin Xian also stabilized his body. He destroyed all the blood-red aura on his body. The sharp light in his eyes became even brighter. Kill! Kill! 2 angry roars rang out. The 2 of them fought fiercely again. Streaks of dragon star sword chi shot into the sky from Lin Xian's body. On the other side, Wu Hinjan also dragged the blood-red world and fought fiercely. Neither of them used their saint's fragments. They knew that it would be useless even if they used them. Because both of them used their saint's fragments, they would cancel each other out. It was better to use their own ultimate skills and fight to the death. This battle lasted for 5 days and 5 nights. Both of them were severely injured. However, Wu Hinjan was in a worse state. His body was split open twice. Once his head was almost split open. It had even hurt his soul. This scared him out of his wits. Fortunately, he managed to dodge it in the end. He looked ahead, and his expression became extremely ugly. He did not expect this battle to be so difficult. If he had known, he would not have come alone. He would have called the other 3 battle monarchs over. If the 4 of them worked together, they could easily kill Wu Hinjan. However, it was too late to say anything now. He was summoning the other 3 battle monarchs. They probably would not arrive any time soon. It seemed that he could only use his ancestor's shadow. Wu Hinjan's eyes turned serious. He had the atavistic bloodline. The next moment, he knelt on one knee and bit his finger. He used his blood to draw strange runes in the air, forming a law. Welcome, ancestor. Wu Hinjan's voice rang out. The blood-red runes floated in the air. Buzz! A blood-red figure gradually took shape. Seeing this blood-red figure, Lin Xian frowned. You're tuning in to the Thunder Spear YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.